Chapter 379. Chapter 379 Inch Ha? Seeing that the two peak primal core warriors of the Zhang family were still unmoved, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "Don't think that I won't dare to do anything to Zhang Bin if you don't say anything. Zhang Bin colluded with the corpse sect. Even if I kill him here, no one will say anything. Ningyu, you have to be responsible for what you said." At this moment, Zhang Jian coldly snorted and said gloomily, "You said that the Zhang family colluded with the corpse sect. What evidence do you have?" "Evidence? You ask me for evidence?" Pointing to his nose, Ningyu said in a deep voice, "Who do you think you are?" "I'm not a thing. No, I am a thing. I'm not a thing." Zhang Jian was so angry that he couldn't even speak clearly. Zhang Jian coldly said, "You don't have evidence to say that the Zhang family colluded with the corpse sect. In my opinion, the one who colluded with the corpse sect is you." Swish! Zhang Jian's words set off a great uproar in this area. Ningyu and the Zhang family both insisted on their own words, saying that the other party colluded with the corpse sect. Who was speaking the truth? I guess the Zhang family colluded with the corpse sect. Recently, the Zhang family's strength has been expanding too fast. It doesn't make sense. I also think it's the Zhang family. The strength of the Zhang family's younger generation is also very strong. They almost dominate Ivory City. You guys are too arbitrary. In my opinion, the one who colluded with the corpse sect is Ningyu. Ningyu? Impossible. He is a core disciple of the Sacred Institute of Danwu College. Danwu College has already found out that he colluded with the corpse sect. Hee, as the saying goes, you can't know a person's heart from his face. Think about it. If Ningyu didn't collude with the corpse sect, how could he be so strong? Even Zhang Bin, who is at the peak of the early Yinyang realm, is not his opponent. Hearing the words coming from all around, Ningyu's face became a little gloomy. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes and came up with a countermeasure. The next moment, Ningyu kicked Zhang Bin's body and kicked him in front of Zhang Jian. Looking at Zhang Bin's ankle, Zhang Jian's face turned ugly. He quickly looked down to check on Zhang Bin's condition. However, just as Zhang Jian lowered his head, Ningyu's figure flashed and appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. "Ningyu, are you trying to silence me?" Zhang Jian was indeed a peak primal core martial artist. He immediately raised his head and berated, "You colluded with the people of the corpse sect to harm the Zhang family. Even if you report this to the capital, you will not be in the right." "Ha ha ha!" Ningyu let out a wild laugh. Then his expression changed, and he coldly said, "You want to reason with me? Why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? A dog of the corpse sect is not qualified to reason with me." Bang! As soon as he finished speaking, Ningyu raised his right foot and kicked Zhang Jian's abdomen. The huge force from his abdomen directly twisted Zhang Jian's face, and he fell to the ground. Swish! After defeating Zhang Jian with one blow, Ningyu quickly swung the red devil sword in his hand and placed it on Zhang Hao's neck. "Take me to the Zhang family's forbidden area." Ningyu slightly exerted force in his palm, and the red devil sword made a slight mark on Zhang Hao's neck. Drops of blood dripped on the red devil sword, making a sizzling sound. "Ningyu, you colluded with the corpse sect. You are destined to have a bad end." Zhang Hao was indeed a bit tough. Even with the red devil sword on his neck, his expression still did not change. It seems that Ningyu really colluded with the corpse sect. Otherwise, it would not be like this. That's right, Ningyu colluded with the corpse sect. Let's leave quickly so that we won't be implicated. Yes, let's leave quickly. It would be best if we could leave Ivory City. Leave? Go where? If I'm not wrong, there must be a lot of people from the corpse sect in Ivory City now. Leaving at this time is tantamount to courting death. Then what should we do? We can't just sit here and wait for death, can we? As long as this expert of the Zhang family takes me to the Zhang family's forbidden area, I will naturally tell you who is colluding with the corpse sect. After taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a low voice, "There should be something that you are interested in the Zhang family's forbidden area." Ningyu's words made the eyes of many martial artists at the scene light up. In Ivory City, there were no more than 5 people who were qualified to enter the Zhang family's forbidden area. Even Zhang Hao and Zhang Jian only knew where the Zhang family's forbidden area was, but they had never entered it. The more mysterious something was, the more people would be interested in it. Therefore, after hearing Ningyu's words, everyone once again began to talk at once. Maybe the Zhang family's forbidden area is really hiding some shameful secret. No one knows what is in the Zhang family's forbidden area. Zhang Hao, take Ningyu to the Zhang family's forbidden area. Yes, take Ningyu to the Zhang family's forbidden area. We want to see how Ningyu will prove his innocence to us. Damn it. The words of the surrounding martial artists made Zhang Hao's face turn pale. Originally, he thought that by using these people to put pressure on Ningyu, Ningyu would know the difficulty and back off. Who would have thought that it would backfire, and these people would become Ningyu's help instead? At this critical moment, if he did not take everyone to the Zhang family's forbidden area, he would be in the wrong and feel guilty. At that time, if Ningyu wanted to kill them, he would get everyone's support. Moreover, these people would even hit him when he was down. Fine. I will take you to the Zhang family's forbidden area. Zhang Hao gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "A straight body is not afraid of a crooked shadow. I want to see what tricks you can play today." As he spoke, Zhang Hao took a step forward and entered the Zhang family's residence. Ningyu winked at the Red Devil and gave him a few words of advice before following closely behind. Crash! Seeing that Ningyu and Zhang Hao had entered the Zhang family's residence, the remaining martial artists all rushed toward the Zhang family's courtyard. Swoosh! Suddenly, Hong Mo's figure flashed and blocked in front of everyone. I will say the ugly words first. There may be experts from the corpse sect in the Zhang family's forbidden area. If you go in this time, you will not even be able to keep your lives. Hong Mo's voice contained some Yuan energy as he said in a clear voice, "Therefore all martial artists whose cultivation has not reached the Yuan Dan stage better obediently stay here." You. As Hong Mo's voice fell, the expressions of martial artists whose cultivation was below the Yuan Dan stage slightly changed. However, they knew Hong Mo's battle strength and could only be angry, not daring to say anything. You, and you. As his gaze swept across the crowd of martial artists, Hong Mo pointed at 5 of them and said, "The 5 of you will enter the Zhang family's residence with me." The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists looked at each other, then rose from the ground and followed Hong Mo into the Zhang family's residence. What? As soon as these Yuan Dan stage martial artists entered the Zhang family's residence, their pupils slightly shrank as extreme shock appeared in their eyes. This was because in front of them there were 30 true martial stage martial artists standing side by side. At the very front of these true martial stage martial artists were 2 familiar figures, Zhang Hao and Ningyu. However, at this moment, Zhang Hao's face no longer had the calm expression from before. Instead, there was a deep sense of fear. Chapter 380. A special Yuan Dan realm martial artist, Zhang Hao. Tell them what's going on with these true martial realm martial artists. When he saw Hong Mo leading the 5 origin core stage martial artists in, Ningyu kicked Zhang Hao's butt, sending him flying far away as he spoke indifferently. These true martial realm martial artists were only at the early Xiantian realm a day ago. Zhang Hao's entire body trembled as he said shakily, "The reason why they were able to advance to the true martial realm in a day is because they swallowed a type of elixir." What elixir? Behind Hong Mo, an early primal core realm martial artist asked. Elixir refined by the corpse sect. Zhang Hao seemed to have gone through a huge mental struggle as he said, "It's all because Zhang been colluded with the corpse sect. It has nothing to do with me. I was forced to do it." Corpse sect. It really is the corpse sect that the Zhang family colluded with. Isn't Zhang Bin too daring? Colluding with the corpse sect is no different from asking a tiger for its skin. When the 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists heard Zhang Hao's words, their expressions all changed. The corpse sect was the heart demon of almost every great Xia kingdom martial artist. This was because the people of the corpse sect did not follow any rules and were extremely cruel. In order to refine corpse puppets, they would often kill Yuan Dan realm martial artists. None of the martial artists who were targeted by them had a good ending. What did Ning Yu do to Zhang Hao? Why did it make Zhang Hao's attitude change by 180 degrees? The 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists stared at Ning Yu as this thought appeared in their minds. You might be wondering why Zhang Hao's attitude was different from before. Slowly walking to the back of a true martial realm martial artist, Ning Yu slightly exerted force in his palm and chopped at the neck of the true martial realm martial artist. Kacha! In the next moment, a cracking sound was heard as the true martial realm martial artist's head was chopped off and fell to the ground. Even though his head was chopped off, the true martial realm martial artist was still standing in the same place as if nothing had happened. However, traces of black liquid flowed out from the severed neck. Black blood? Corpse puppet. Seeing this, the faces of the 5 Yuan Dan stage practitioners revealed expressions of extreme shock. As Origin Core stage practitioners, they naturally knew what black blood meant. An incomplete corpse puppet. If it was a completed corpse puppet, the blood would completely transform and fuse with the body, disappearing without a trace. Since there was still black blood, it meant that this was only the initial stage of the corpse puppet, a half-finished corpse puppet. Crack, crack, crack. Following that, Ning Yu's figure flickered as he shuttled back and forth between the true martial realm martial artists. At the same time, the red demon sword in his hand slashed out repeatedly. With a series of cracking sounds, the right arms of the remaining true martial realm martial artists were all chopped off. All of them are incomplete corpse puppets. Looking at the black blood on the ground, the 5 Yuan Dan practitioners were shocked to the extreme. Zhang Hao, tell me why you betrayed Zhang Bin and the Corpsine sect. Just as the Yuan Dan stage martial artist was shocked, Ningyu waved his hand and said to Zhang Hao, you should be very clear about the consequences of betraying the corpse sect. The Corpsine sect martial artists are all trash. At the mention of the Corpsine sect, Zhang Hao gnashed his teeth in anger and fiercely said, they betrayed the agreement and secretly left a trace of Corpsine Qi in my knowledge sea. If not for Ning Yu's timely discovery, I would still be in the dark. Corpsine Qi. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists were shocked. That's right, Corpsine Qi. At the mention of the Corpsine Qi, Zhang Hao was furious and said, right now, the Corpsine Qi is still in my knowledge sea. Zhang Hao, don't complain. As long as you bring me to the Zhang family's forbidden area, I will naturally find a way to expel the Corpsine Qi from your knowledge sea. Ning Yu's words sounded timely. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Zhang Hao revealed an expression of gratitude. Swoosh! Immediately after, he tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and quickly rushed toward the Zhang family's forbidden area. Looking at Zhang Hao's back, the corner of Ning Yu's mouth curled up and his figure flashed as he followed. As for the 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists, they did not dare to follow and could only stand there quietly. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists did not follow, so Hong Mo simply stayed behind as well. This was because just now, Ning Yu had communicated to him through the soul, telling him that there was something strange about these 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists and that he must keep an eye on them. Hong Mo chose to believe Ning Yu's words unconditionally. Since Ning Yu said there was something strange about them, then there must be something strange about them. Big brother, should we? 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists, 2 in the early stage, 1 in the middle stage, and 2 in the late stage. After Ning Yu and Zhang Hao left, one of the early stage Yuan Dan stage martial artists whispered, Don't act rashly. Don't forget the purpose of our visit this time. The late-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist expression did not change as he transmitted his voice to the early-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist. Big brother, is Ningyu really that strong? Even Zhang Bin is no match for him? The middle-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist frowned. He is indeed very strong, but Zhang Bin is only a peak early-stage yin-yang stage martial artist, so it is understandable that he lost to Ningyu. Taking a deep breath, the late-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist said in a low voice, "Don't worry, the thing I brought this time is very special. Even a middle-stage yin-yang stage martial artist would not be able to withstand it." Doesn't that mean that we can easily capture Ningyu? The middle-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist's face lit up with joy. Shaking his head, the late-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist said, "We can't make a move in Ivory City. Ivory City is in troubled times now, and our base is not here. The corpse sect is not to be trifled with." Humph. Looks like Ningyu was right. There is indeed something strange about you guys. The 5 Yuan Dan stage martial artists did not know that their conversation had been completely heard by Hong Mo, and not a single word was missed. However, without Ningyu's approval, Hong Mo would not act rashly. After all, according to the late-stage Yuan Dan stage martial artist, they had something that could make a middle-stage yin-yang stage martial artist afraid, and Hong Mo's strength was far from reaching the middle-stage yin-yang stage. Whoosh! At the same time, on the other side, Zhang Hao led Ningyu back and forth in the Zhang family, cleverly avoiding all kinds of soul seals. Finally, they stopped in front of a slightly dimly lit courtyard. "This is the Zhang family's forbidden area?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows and asked doubtfully. "This is not the Zhang family's forbidden area." Zhang Hao shook his head. Ningyu was slightly taken aback and said, "If this is not the Zhang family's forbidden area, why did you bring me here?" "Although this is not the Zhang family's forbidden area, it is more important," Zhang Hao said in a low voice. "More important?" Ningyu frowned and said, "Su Jinfu is refining the inner demon pill. If he succeeds, the consequences will be unimaginable. I know this. Believe me, this place is more important than the Zhang family's forbidden area." As he spoke, Zhang Hao moved his feet and walked toward the courtyard. Ningyu first released his advanced 5th-grade soul force and probed around the courtyard. Very quickly he retracted his soul force, and his face turned slightly serious. Chapter 381. Chapter 381. Being controlled after thinking for a moment, Ningyu followed Zhang Hao into the courtyard. There was indeed a wisp of corpse yin qi left by a martial artist of the corpse yin sect in Zhang Hao's sea of consciousness. At first, Zhang Hao did not notice it. If not for Ningyu's reminder, Zhang Hao would still be in the dark. However, the wisp of corpse yin qi was weak and far from being enough to kill Zhang Hao. It could be said that if Zhang Hao wanted to, he could get rid of the corpse yin qi in his sea of consciousness. As for why Zhang Hao pretended to be so indignant, Ningyu guessed that someone must have contacted Zhang Hao. Otherwise, with Zhang Hao's peak primal core cultivation, he would not dare to bring him here. In the Zhang family, could there be a more important place than the Zhang family's forbidden land? Who could fool? Sun Jiangwen told me that although Su Jinfu is a 7th-grade advanced stage alchemist, his cultivation is only at the early stage of the yin-yang realm. The reason why Ningyu dared to enter this courtyard was that he had absolute confidence that even if Su Jinfu suddenly appeared, he could deal with it calmly. Zhang Bin, who was at the peak of the early stage of the yin-yang realm, was defeated by him. Naturally, Su Jinfu, who was at the early stage of the yin-yang realm, was no match for him. "Elder Su, I brought Ningyu as you asked." After entering the courtyard, Zhang Hao hurriedly communicated with Su Jinfu in his mind. "Please don't kill me." "Noisy, hurry up and take Ningyu to the 2nd room on the left." A powerful voice sounded in Zhang Hao's mind. Hearing this, Zhang Hao did not dare to say more and hurriedly walked to the second room on the left. Wait a minute. However, Zhang Hao had only taken a few steps before Ningyu stopped him. Stopping where he was, Zhang Hao looked at Ningyu, who was walking toward him, and asked in confusion, "What?" "Haha, nothing. I just have something to ask you." With a smile, Ningyu said, "You can tell me what is so special about this courtyard and why it is more important than the Zhang family's forbidden land." Zhang Hao's eyes flickered. Finally, he gritted his teeth and pointed to the second room on the left. "To tell you the truth, this room is the Zhang family's treasure room. All the Zhang family's treasures are in this room. Is that so?" Ningyu raised his eyebrows and said, "In that case, I have to thank you." "You don't have to thank me, as long as you can help me get rid of the corpse Yin Qi in my sea of consciousness." Zhang Hao's eyes were somewhat evasive, and he did not dare to look directly at Ningyu, for fear of being seen through. "Zhang Hao, why don't I help you get rid of the corpse Yin Qi in your sea of consciousness now?" Rolling his eyes, Ningyu said, "You can take the treasures in the Zhang family's treasure trove at any time. If you don't get rid of the corpse Yin Qi in your sea of consciousness one day later, it will probably cause fatal harm to you." This, due to nervousness, Zhang Hao's forehead was covered in beads of sweat. "Let him help you get rid of the corpse Yin Qi in your sea of consciousness. I'd like to see if a late-stage, true realm martial artist can really defeat Zhangbin like you said." In the second room on the left of the courtyard, an old man dressed in gray said in a deep voice. The old man in gray was none other than the late-stage, 7th-grade alchemist of the Corpse Sect Alchemist Hall, Su Jinfu. In front of him, there were 2 transparent jade bottles. Each jade bottle contained 3 black elixirs. Demon Heart Dan. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely recognize that the dawn in the jade bottles were Demon Heart Dawn. Originally, Ningyu thought that Su Jinfu was refining the Demon Heart Dan. Who would have thought that Su Jinfu had already refined the Demon Heart Dan? Moreover, he had refined a total of 6 of them, 6 Demon Heart Dan, and each of them had reached the best quality level. The Demon Heart Dan was originally a 7th-grade Dan, and the best quality Demon Heart Dan could even control a middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Zhang Bin is a peak early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, and the person outside is only a late-stage true realm martial artist. With a wave of his wrist, Su Jinfu put away the 2 bottles of Demon Heart Dan and murmured, "Defeating an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist with a late-stage true martial realm cultivation. In the Disya Empire's Corpse Sect, only the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall can do this." Thinking of that abnormal genius of the Ghost Talent Hall, Su Jinfu could not help but shiver. He had personally seen the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall defeat an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist with 1 move when he was in the late-stage true martial realm. At that time, that early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist was far stronger than Zhangbin. Now that the number 1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall had advanced to the Yuan Dan realm, one could imagine how terrifying the strength of a Yuan Dan realm martial artist was. At this moment, Zhang Hao, who was outside the room, gritted his teeth and said, "Ningyu, I can let you help me get rid of the corpse Yin Qi in my sea of consciousness. But before that, I have a small request." "What request?" Ningyu said without batting an eyelid. "It's very simple. You must completely remove the corpse Yin Qi in my sea of consciousness within 10 minutes. Zhang Hao said in a deep voice. "Why?" Ningyu asked. "If you remove the corpse Yin Qi in my sea of consciousness, you will definitely send your soul force into my sea of consciousness. 10 minutes is the limit of what I can endure. If it goes any longer, I'm afraid you will control me." Zhang Hao said as if he was really at a disadvantage. "You can rest assured about this. When I remove the corpse Yin Qi in your sea of consciousness, I will not use all my soul force." Waving his hand, Ningyu said, I will only use 10% of my soul force or less. What? How can 10% of your soul force remove the corpse yin qi in my sea of consciousness? You are... Fine, 10% is 10%. At first, Zhang Hao flew into a rage, but then, as if he heard something, he suddenly became listless. Zhang Hao, relax your mind. The next moment, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold as he shouted in a low voice. Swoosh! As soon as he finished speaking, a wisp of soul force swept out of Ning Yu's body and rushed toward Zhang Hao. Swoosh! However, along with this wisp of soul force, there was also a red flying sword. Ning Yu, do you want to... Seeing the red flying sword coming toward him, Zhang Hao's expression changed greatly and he hurriedly shouted. However, as soon as he shouted, he let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered. Puff! Immediately, his chest was pierced by the red demon sword, and his body fell straight backward. Zhang Hao, do you think I don't know what you're up to? In front of me, any conspiracy. Not good. After defeating Zhang Hao in one move, before Ning Yu's voice faded, a look of horror appeared on his face. This was because he found that Zhang Hao's body was rapidly expanding. Explosion. It was obvious that Zhang Hao's situation was no different from self-destruction. The only difference was that self-destruction was controlled by oneself, while Zhang Hao's state was no longer under his control. Damn it! Cursing inwardly, Ning Yu stamped his feet on the ground and rushed toward Zhang Hao at a shocking speed. In the blink of an eye, Ning Yu arrived in front of Zhang Hao, grabbed one of Zhang Hao's arms with each hand, and then used all his strength to throw Zhang Hao toward the second room on the left. Boom! As soon as Zhang Hao's body touched the second room on the left, it suddenly exploded. Chapter 382. The Experienced Su Jinfukaboom. When the sound of the explosion rang out, the crowd of martial artists in front of the Zhang family's door revealed a look of horror. Some of the martial artists, whose level of cultivation was too low, were even pushed back several feet by the shockwave of the explosion. Uft! Uft! After spitting out several mouthfuls of fresh blood, these martial artists with lower levels of cultivation turned deathly pale, their faces devoid of color. What exactly happened? I'm not sure, but this explosion should have come from inside the Zhang family. Nonsense, I know even if you don't tell me. What do you know? Do you know what exactly caused the explosion? Humph. If I'm not wrong, it should be a primal core martial artist who self-destructed. Whoosh! As soon as this martial artist finished speaking, there was an uproar. A peak primal core martial artist self-destructed? That should not be possible. After all, the shockwave of the explosion clearly did not reach the level of a peak primal core martial artist. At most, it was equivalent to the explosion of an early primal core martial artist. This aura of the explosion, it seems to be Zhang Hao. As the crowd discussed, Zhang Jian's heart skipped a beat. From the aura of the explosion, he smelled a familiar scent. This familiar scent was exactly the same as the scent on Zhang Hao's body. There was almost no difference. That should not be possible. Then, Zhang Jian shook his head, denying this thought. Zhang Hao was a peak primal core martial artist, and the shockwave of his explosion could not have been so weak. Logically speaking, the self-destruction of a peak primal core martial artist was difficult even for an early yin-yang martial artist to withstand. Whoosh! What Zhang Jian did not know was that in the courtyard of the Zhang family, Ning Yu's 4 illusory golden cores were floating above his head, continuously emitting yuan qi. The yuan qi of the 4 illusory golden cores intertwined, forming a protective yuan qi shield in front of Ning Yu. Whoosh! The shockwave of Zhang Hao's self-destruction kept hitting the shield in front of him, making a sizzling sound. Fortunately, Zhang Hao resisted the explosion. Otherwise, with the primordial qi and my 4 illusory golden cores, I definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the aftermath of the explosion. Ning Yu was still aware of his own limitations. Unless he advanced his cultivation to the true martial realm great perfection, or even half a step into the Yuan Dan realm, he would definitely not be able to withstand the self-detonation of a Yuan Dan pinnacle martial artist. With the protection of Ning Yu's 4 illusory golden elixir shadows, the aftershock of Zhang Hao's self-destruction had dissipated significantly. As a result, the many warriors at the Zhang family's door had only felt the self-destruction of an early primal core warrior. The aftermath of the explosion lasted for a quarter of an hour before it slowly dissipated. Xiao! The moment the shock wave dissipated, a figure dashed out of the room and charged straight at Ning Yu. Bang! The sudden change caused Ning Yu's expression to change slightly. In the next instant, he gathered his primordial qi on his fist and smashed it against the martial artist in front of him. At the moment when the fists collided, Ning Yu and the martial artist each took a few steps back. The strength of the late 7th grade soul force, the early yin-yang realm cultivation. Looking at the gray-robed old man not far away, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, you should be the late 7th grade alchemist of the Alchemist Hall, Su Jinfu. You know my name?" Hearing Ning Yu's words, the gray-robed old man was obviously startled and felt a little incredulous. In the huge Ivory City, apart from the martial artists of the Yin Corps sect, there were only 3 people who knew his name: Zhang Bin, Zhang Hao, Zhang Jian. In other words, apart from these 3 martial artists, no one in Ivory City knew that his name was Su Jinfu. Humph! I didn't expect you to even force out my name. Zhang Bin and the others are really useless, Su Jinfu said with a cold snort. He could basically judge that the martial artists who told Ning Yu his name could only be Zhang Bin, Zhang Hao, and Zhang Jian. However, Ning Yu's next words made his pupils shrink slightly, revealing a look of extreme shock. Ning Yu took a step forward and said lightly, "Before I entered Ivory City, I already knew your name." In order to break through the ivory tower, the Alchemist Hall sent out 3 great alchemists, Sun Jiangwen, Link, and you. The reason why I know that you are staying in the Zhang family is entirely because of Sun Jiangwen. Sun Jiangwen? Su Jinfu's face changed, and he scolded, "Don't try to sow discord between us." Sun Jiangwen also told me that you are refining the inner demon pill. Shrugging, Ning Yu continued, "If I'm not wrong, you should have refined the inner demon pill, but I don't know how many inner demon pills you have refined." This time, Su Jinfu was finally moved. Ning Yu knew so much about this plan. Maybe what he said was true. Sun Jiangwen had betrayed them. Suddenly, Su Jinfu seemed to think of something, and his face became completely gloomy. If Sun Jiangwen betrayed them, the Alchemist Hall Master and the others would definitely be in great danger. "I have indeed refined the inner demon pill, and I have refined 6 inner demon pills." Taking a deep breath, Su Jinfu reached into his arms and took out 2 jade bottles. Supreme Inner Demon Pill. Seeing the jade bottles in Su Jinfu's hands, Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. Supreme Inner Demon Pill was known to be able to control intermediate yin-yang realm martial artists. Once it entered the Great Xia Kingdom, it would cause fatal harm to the Great Xia Kingdom. 6 inner demon pills. At first, I planned to leave 3 in Ivory City and send the other 3 to the capital. Just as Ning Yu was shocked by this, Su Jinfu sneered, "Since I have met you, I will give you 1 inner demon pill." Buzz! Su Jinfu waved his hands quickly in front of him. As Su Jinfu waved his hands, a small whirlpool suddenly appeared in the space in front of him, and this small whirlpool continued to expand. Dead Soul's Whirlpool. Seeing the small whirlpool in front of Su Jinfu, Ning Yu's pupil shrank, and he could not help but take a few steps back. The Dead Soul's Whirlpool was extremely difficult to cultivate. Not even 1 in 100 corpse sect martial artists could successfully cultivate it. In order to display the power of the Dead Soul's Whirlpool, one must feed the corpse yin qi into it. In the past, Ningyu had seen a martial artist from the corpse sect use the Dead Soul's whirlpool, and it was Qi Jiang from the Ghost Talent Hall. However, Qi Jiang was only ranked 7th in the Ghost Talent Hall, and the Dead Soul's whirlpool he used was far from Su Jinfu's. You actually know about the Dead Soul's whirlpool. Su Jinfu raised his eyebrows and smiled. Dying in the Dead Soul's whirlpool is also a kind of enjoyment for you. Swoosh! With a wave of his sleeve, a dark green gas rushed out and madly rushed toward the Dead Soul's whirlpool. Don't let the corpse in Qi enter the Dead Soul's whirlpool. Ningyu was not a fool. The scene of his battle with Qi Jiang was still vivid in his mind. Once the corpse in Qi entered the Dead Soul's whirlpool, the Dead Soul's whirlpool would rush out with Dead Soul's whirlpool. Ningyu had already seen the power of the Dead Soul's whirlpool from Gue Air. If he did not have the quenching pill cauldron, he would have long been corroded by Gue Air's Dead Soul's whirlpool. Chapter 383. Choose one of 2-inch solitaire. Seeing that the ghostly green corpse in Qi was about to enter the necromancy vortex, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. Immediately, for terrifying waves of primordial Qi swept out from the golden core and frantically burrowed into the red demon sword. Immediately after, Ningyu quickly waved the red demon sword. Accompanied by a low roar, a shocking sword wave rushed out from the red demon sword and charged toward Su Jinfu's corpse in Qi at an astonishing speed. 4 illusory gold cores. When Su Jinfu saw the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head unleash a powerful wave of primordial Qi, he was slightly taken aback, feeling a little incredulous. When he sprang out of the room, the first thing he saw was the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head. However, at that time he did not think that the illusory golden core above Ningyu's head was real. Who would have thought that the 4 illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head were not only real, but also contained a terrifying amount of yuan qi? Just because of your 4 illusory golden cores? I've changed my mind. Su Jinfu was indeed a cultivator who had seen a lot of things. He quickly calmed down and said coldly, I will not kill you. I will capture you and study you properly. So much nonsense. After slashing out a solitaire, Ningyu immediately activated the Netherworld Samsara Palm technique and quickly blasted out a palm print. Revolving Palm. The revolving palm was the 5th style of the Netherworld Samsara Palm, and it was extremely powerful. When Ningyu was in the middle stage of the 5th grade, his rotating will palm was able to compete with a peak Yuan Dan practitioner. Now that his soul power had advanced to the late stage of the 5th grade, the power of the rotating will palm had also increased. Xiao! Xiao! In the face of Ningyu's 2 consecutive attacks, not only was Su Jinfu not afraid, but the corners of his mouth curled up into an evil smile. Insignificant skill. In the next moment, Su Jinfu flicked his sleeves and 2 rays of cold light shot out. One blasted towards Solitaire, while the other blasted towards the rotating will palm. Voila! When the chilling light and the Solitaire came into contact, the result was not beyond Su Jinfu's expectations. The chilling light easily dispersed the Solitaire. Rumble. Meanwhile, on the other side, before Su Jinfu's cold light could collide with Ningyu's rotating will palm, the rotating will palm exploded. The aftershock of the explosion spread out in all directions, causing Su Jinfu's brows to raise as he felt a little disbelief. Hee, I didn't expect your palm print to explode. Oh no. Seeing the explosion of the revolving wheel palm, Su Jinfu smiled faintly. Just as he was about to mock Zhang Xian, his expression abruptly changed. That was because a terrifying spiritual pressure was pressing down on him unscrupulously. Damn it. You used a soul attack spell technique. Cursing inwardly, Su Jinfu stomped on the ground and quickly retreated. However, the speed at which he retreated was clearly slower than the speed of the soul suppression. He had only retreated a few steps when the soul suppression arrived in front of him. Humph! Your soul strength is only at the advanced stage of the 5th grade, but my soul strength is at the advanced stage of the 7th grade. Even if you used a soul attack spell technique, you can't do anything to me. With a cold snort, Su Jinfu's soul strength at the advanced stage of the 7th grade poured out and formed a soul protection shield in front of him. Generally speaking, when faced with a soul attack spell technique, ordinary martial artists would not use their soul strength to block it. After all, soul attack spells specialized in attacking the soul. Even if one's soul strength was a level higher than the opponent's, it was still difficult to block it. However, there were exceptions to everything. As long as one's soul strength was 2 levels higher than the opponent's, one could rely on the absolute strength of the soul strength to suppress the opponent, rendering the opponent's soul attack spell technique ineffective. What Su Jinfu needed to do now was to rely on his advanced stage of the 7th grade soul strength to suppress Ningyu. Sizzle. As expected, before the aftershock of the explosion came into contact with Su Jinfu's soul protection shield, it made a sizzling sound and directly dissipated between heaven and earth. Hee, in the face of absolute strength, all schemes and plots will be exposed. Seeing that the soul protection shield had blocked the aftershock of the explosion, Su Jinfu smiled evilly. Next, it's my turn to attack dead spirits. Is that so? Before Su Jinfu finished speaking, Ningyu raised his eyebrows and quickly threw the red demon sword in his hand. Swish! As soon as the red demon sword was thrown, a small red flying sword separated from the sword. The small red flying sword flew towards Su Jinfu, while the red demon sword flew towards the vortex of the dead spirits. What the hell? Su Jinfu frowned slightly as he looked at the small red flying sword approaching him. He was a little confused. He did not know what trick Ningyu was playing. Logically speaking, the explosion of the rotating will palm should not have been able to cause any damage to his soul protection shield. What could this small flying sword do? Absorb it. However, just as Su Jinfu was feeling puzzled, a low roar came from Ningyu's mouth. As the low roar rang out, a terrifying devouring force was emitted from the small, red, flying sword. The small flying sword was not an ordinary flying sword, but the red demon sword's good sword. Its devouring force was comparable to the red demon sword's. The reason why Ningyu had chosen to use the good sword at this moment was because Su Jinfu was completely relaxed. Secondly, Su Jinfu had used his soul power. Buzz! In the next instant, while Su Jinfu was still in a daze, the good sword had arrived in front of him. The terrifying devouring force was unscrupulously devouring his soul power. How dare you devour my soul power? Su Jinfu reacted almost at the same time his soul power was devoured. However, he reacted a little too late. In the short span of a second, 1/10 of his soul power had already been devoured. As Ningyu's soul power had advanced to the advanced stage of grade 5, the good sword's devouring force had also increased significantly. Otherwise, it would not have been able to devour 1/10 of Su Jinfu's soul power in a second. Die! Su Jinfu, who had reacted, shouted and immediately retracted the soul power outside his body. His primordial energy wrapped around his wrist, and he threw a punch. Ding! The fist and the flying sword collided. The result was obvious. The good sword was sent flying back several feet. I want this flying sword. Su Jinfu stomped on the ground and headed straight for the good sword, intending to retrieve it. Su Jinfu, do you really want that flying sword? Ningyu did not worry when he saw Su Jinfu charge at the good sword. Instead, he smiled. Of course, the quality of this flying sword is not low, so it naturally belongs to me, Su Jinfu said proudly as he flew. All right, as long as you can catch up to the flying sword. What's the harm in giving it to you? Ningyu shrugged. Then he changed the topic and said, however, between the flying sword and the necromancy vortex, which one will you choose? What's there to think about? Of course, I'll choose the flying. What? The flying sword and the necromancy vortex. When he heard Ning Yu's words, Su Jinfu replied almost without hesitation. However, before he could finish his sentence, he realized that something was wrong and hurriedly shifted his gaze to Ning Yu. Chapter 384. Chapter 384. Controlling the Death Soul Vortex. Impossible. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Su Jinfu's expression became extremely ugly, and his fists were clenched so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. He had never imagined that Ning Yu could actually control the undead whirlpool. One must know that the Death Soul Vortex was a unique secret technique of the corpse sect. It was almost impossible for non-corpse sect martial artists to come into contact with it. Any martial artist who came into contact with the cultivation method of the Death Soul Vortex would, without exception, be killed by the corpse sect. In order to prevent the cultivation method of the Death Soul Vortex from being leaked, the corpse sect would not only kill the martial artists who came into contact with the cultivation method, they would also kill all the members of the martial artist families. It was commonly known as the extermination of the family. As long as you put your heart into it, nothing is impossible. With a faint smile, Ning Yu dragged the Death Soul Vortex with his left hand and the dark green corpse Yin Qi with his right. However, there was a layer of dense Yuan Qi on both of Ning Yu's hands. The corpse Yin Qi and the Death Soul Vortex were both corrosive. In order to prevent his hands from being corroded, Ning Yu specially used his Yuan Qi and gathered it on his palms. Humph! Ning Yu, you're finished. No one in this world can save you. With a cold snort, Su Jinfu said in a deep voice, I originally planned to let you live, but since you're courting death, don't blame me. Let me live? As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Ning Yu faced the sky and laughed wildly. He then said coldly, the Death Soul Vortex and Corpse Yin Qi are both in my hands. Your soul force has also been devoured by 1/10. What do you have to fight against me now? Show! At this moment, the good sword streaked across the sky and appeared in front of Ning Yu. With a thought from Ning Yu, the good sword directly drilled into the red demon's sword and went dormant. Seeing the small red flying sword enter the red demon's sword in front of Ning Yu, Su Jinfu was so angry that his body trembled and his eyes were filled with viciousness. In order to obtain the small red flying sword, he had been very careless. Otherwise, Ning Yu would not have been able to control the Death Soul Vortex. Right now, it was obvious that he had gone for wool and come home shorn. Ning Yu, who told you how to control the Death Soul whirlpool? Tell me, and I can plead with the Hall Master to spare your life. Su Jinfu calmed down and said sinisterly, There's no harm in telling you. Shrugging his shoulders, Ning Yu said, Listen up. The one who told me how to control the Dead Soul's whirlpool was from the Alchemist Hall. Ning Yu paused for a moment, then smiled and said, Sun Jiangwen. Sun Jiangwen. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Su Jinfu was stunned at first. Then his face completely darkened. You keep saying it's Sun Jiangwen. What proof do you have? Su Jinfu said coldly. Evidence. Ning Yu opened his mouth and said, You're asking me for evidence? Why should I give you evidence? If you don't believe me, you can ask Sun Jiangwen yourself. All right, I'll go now. No, you're stalling for time. As he spoke, Su Jinfu seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes stared straight at Ning Yu, at the Dead Soul's whirlpool in Ning Yu's hand. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Su Jinfu laughed out loud. After laughing, the corners of Su Jinfu's lips curled up, revealing an evil smile, and said, I thought you really controlled the Dead Soul's whirlpool. I didn't expect you to only grasp the surface of the Dead Soul's whirlpool and not completely control it. If that's the case, with a strange laugh, Su Jinfu rose from the ground and charged toward Ning Yu at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, Su Jinfu fully unleashed his early-stage yin-yang aura, suppressing Ning Yu. Damn it! Seeing that Su Jinfu was charging toward him, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. Without thinking, he immediately retreated. Su Jinfu was right. He indeed did not completely control the dead soul's whirlpool, and had only seized control of half of it, because he had never seen Su Jinfu's dead soul's whirlpool. Sun Jiangwen had no way to tell Ningyu the specific method, and could only tell Ningyu the general method of controlling the dead soul's whirlpool. Although the general method could be used, it was too time-consuming. The reason why Ningyu and Su Jinfu were playing dumb and teasing each other was because he was stalling for time. Once he managed to control the dead soul's whirlpool, Su Jinfu's death would come. However, Su Jinfu's sudden attack had messed up all his plans, forcing him to bite the bullet and fight Su Jinfu. Corpse In Chi. At the critical moment, Ningyu threw out the corpse In Chi in his right hand and faced Su Jinfu. Using my corpse In Chi to fight me? Su Jinfu obviously did not put the corpse In Chi in his eyes. After all, he was a member of the Corpse In sect, and he was very familiar with the corpse In Chi. Thank you for returning the corpse In Chi to me. Su Jinfu's eyes flashed, and he slightly gave up on attacking Ningyu. Instead, he took out a black bottle from his bosom. Bang! With a little force from his thumb, Su Jinfu popped the cork and threw the black bottle at the corpse In Chi. Buzz! The moment the black bottle flew out, it gradually grew bigger. When it was about to touch the corpse In Chi, it had already grown several times bigger. Corpse In Chi, come back! Su Jinfu shouted in a low voice. Crash! Following Su Jinfu's shout, a huge suction force came from the mouth of the black bottle, and the corpse In Chi was easily sucked into the bottle. Pa! Then Su Jinfu took out a cork from his bosom and plugged the mouth of the bottle. Ningyu, have you lost your mind? Su Jinfu was dumbfounded when he saw Ningyu throw the vortex of undead souls above his head, cupped his fists, and revealed a silly smile. Ning, you wouldn't have become a fool, right? Because no normal person would make such an expression and behavior. Even if you have lost your mind, I will still kill you. Su Jinfu's figure flashed, and he was about to rush out. However, before he could rush out, Ningyu's voice sounded in the area. Su Jinfu, don't you think there is something wrong with the corpse In Chi? Ningyu smiled. Something wrong. Hearing this, Su Jinfu was a little stunned, but he quickly sneered. How could there be a problem? How can I not know about my corpse In Chi? You are just trying to buy time. Buying time? Hee, the ignorant are fearless. Curling his lips, Ningyu said, To tell you the truth, not only did I return your corpse In Chi to you, I also returned 1/10 of your soul force. You are that good. Frowning, Su Jinfu said, Impossible. Of course I am good. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you something. Ningyu took a step back and said, In the corpse In Chi, just now, not only did it contain 1/10 of your soul force, it also contained a strand of my soul force. And your soul. F***CK. Hearing this, Su Jinfu wanted to say something, but he could not help but curse. Chapter 385. Soul Suppression. Chapter 385. Soul Suppression. Explode. Ningyu bellowed the moment the black bottle left Su Jinfu's palm. Crack! Following Ningyu's shout, the black bottle exploded with a loud bang. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion reverberated in the courtyard. Su Jinfu's pupils shrank at the explosion of the black bottle. He turned into a shadow and dashed out of the courtyard. Uft! However, before Su Jinfu could leave the courtyard, he was hit by the shockwave of the explosion. Su Jinfu could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood as he tasted the blood in his throat. Su Jinfu did not have much time to think. He quickly gathered all his yuan qi in front of him, hoping to withstand the shockwave of the explosion. TSK. However, the shockwave was extremely powerful. It tore apart the Yuan Qi barrier in front of Su Jinfu almost instantly and hit his chest once again. This time, Su Jinfu was not as lucky as before. Not only did he spit out a few mouthfuls of blood, but his body was also blown back several feet. His face was pale. Swoosh! As the shock wave dissipated, Ning Yu's figure flashed and appeared in front of Su Jinfu. Su Jinfu, you have two choices now. Ning Yu cupped his fists and said calmly, "First, submit to me. Second," at this point, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold and his aura crazily pressed against Su Jinfu. "Die." As soon as the word "die" was said, Ning Yu held the red demon sword and placed it on Su Jinfu's neck. Ning Yu's meaning was clear. If Su Jinfu dared to choose the second option, he would attack immediately and kill Su Jinfu. I am a 7th grade advanced alchemist with Yin-Yang realm cultivation base. You want me to submit to you? Su Jinfu snorted and said proudly, "I choose the first option. F***CK. Hearing Su Jinfu's words, Ning Yu was a little dumbfounded. He frowned and asked again, "Which option do you choose?" "Of course, I'll choose the first one. It's better to live than to die." Su Jinfu's words were filled with righteousness as he said, "Even the peak grade 7 alchemist Sun Jiangwen betrayed the corpse sect, so it's not a big deal for me to submit to you. A good bird chooses a tree to nest in, so choosing the first one is a wise move." "You're really too shameless." Ning Yu didn't expect Su Jinfu to be so shameless. The first half of his words sounded like he was going to be loyal to the corpse sect, but the second half made him not know whether to laugh or cry. Ning Yu even wondered how Su Jinfu managed to cultivate to the early stage of Yin-Yang realm. Could it be that the older one was, the more cunning he was? Shaking his head, Ning Yu decided not to think about this for the time being. Instead, he said, "Su Jinfu, since you have chosen to submit to me, I will not mistreat you. 1 year from now, I will remove my control over you." "Really?" Hearing this, Su Jinfu's face lit up, and he quickly said, "Not to mention 1 year. As long as you promise to remove your control over me within 3 years, I will immediately open my mind." Ning Yu seemed a little impatient as he said, "Don't talk nonsense. Quickly open your mind and let my soul force enter your sea of knowledge." "Okay." Gritting his teeth, Su Jinfu closed his eyes and completely opened his mind. It was as if he was waiting to be trampled on. However, Su Jinfu's right hand was behind his back, quietly forming a seal. "Su Jinfu, wait a moment." Suddenly, Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said, "Since you have chosen to submit to me, then release the rest of your soul force from your body and let me control it." "What?" Su Jinfu's heart skipped a beat and his expression changed slightly. "Was I discovered?" After thinking about it, Su Jinfu felt that it was unlikely. After all, his movements were very secretive, and he was using his perception to closely observe the changes in Ning Yu's expression when he formed the seal. At that time, Ning Yu's expression did not change. "Su Jinfu, you only have 1 chance." Cupping his fists, Ning Yu looked at Su Jinfu with interest. Su Jinfu's expression was gloomy, and he was having an intense internal struggle. Originally, he had planned to launch a sneak attack on Ning Yu, but now Ning Yu's reaction was really confusing. "Okay, Ning Yu, I will hand over my soul force to you." In that instant, Su Jinfu made a decision that could change his fate. With a thought, the soul force in his body poured out and flew toward Ning Yu. Although Su Jinfu had been seriously injured in the explosion of the black jade bottle, his soul force was not too affected. Only 1/10 of his soul force had been devoured by Ning Yu's flying sword, and there was still 9/10 left. Finally, can't take it any more. Seeing that so much soul force was attacking him, Ning Yu's expression became slightly serious, and the red demon's sword gradually shrank to the size of a strand of hair. Whoosh! Not long after, Su Jinfu's advanced stage, 7th grade soul force, arrived in front of Ning Yu. Ha ha ha, Ningyu die. At this moment, Su Jinfu laughed out loud, and his face became distorted. He said coldly, "Under the pressure of my advanced stage, 7th grade soul force, what do you have to fight against me? Su Jinfu, aren't you afraid that I will devour the rest of your soul force?" Ning Yu did not retreat, but advanced instead. He took a step forward, and all the advanced stage, 5th grade soul force in his body surged out. He said in a low voice, "If I can devour 1/10 of your soul force, I can devour all of your soul force." Humph. Last time I was completely careless. This time I am prepared. What do you have to devour my soul force? With a cold snort, Su Jinfu quickly formed a hand seal. As he formed the hand seal, Su Jinfu said in a low voice, "I will let you have a taste of soul suppression." Buzz. Then, an extremely terrifying soul suppression erupted from Su Jinfu's soul force and unscrupulously suppressed Ningyu. The reason why Su Jinfu was not afraid of Ning Yu's devouring flying sword was because he was adept at controlling his soul force and could already display the first stage of soul suppression. The so-called soul suppression required a very strong control over the soul. It was impossible for ordinary alchemists to display soul suppression. Soul suppression was very scary. Once the other party's soul was suppressed, the other party would be like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered without any resistance. Ningyu, when faced with my soul suppression, you should enjoy. What? However, before Su Jinfu could finish his sentence, his pupils shrank, and he revealed an extremely shocked expression. As Ningyu waved his sleeves, a cold light shot out. Chi! This cold light was extremely fast, and when it came into contact with his soul force, it suddenly enlarged. Devouring flying sword. Looking at the enlarged flying sword, Su Jinfu almost revealed a look of despair. He did not expect that the soul suppression displayed by his advanced stage, 7th grade soul force, would have no effect on Ningyu at all. Su Jinfu, don't you think you are a little arrogant to display soul suppression in front of me? Chapter 386. Someone from the capital Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi. As soon as Ningyu's voice fell, the red demon's sword made contact with Su Jinfu's soul force. Then, a powerful devouring force erupted, devouring Su Jinfu's soul force crazily. Damn it! Come back! Cursing inwardly, Su Jinfu tried to control his soul force to return to his body. Swoosh! At this moment, Ningyu's figure flashed and appeared in front of Su Jinfu in the blink of an eye. Su Jinfu, if you submit to me obediently, I will definitely spare your life. With a flick of his wrist, the soul-severing sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. In the next moment, Ningyu waved the soul-severing sword and stabbed it straight at Su Jinfu's heart. Su Jinfu was already seriously injured. His primordial qi had been greatly depleted when he resisted the black jade bottle's explosion. Now he was left with only a trace of primordial qi. It could be said that the current Su Jinfu could be easily killed by a true martial realm martial artist, let alone Ningyu. The outcome was no surprise. The soul-severing sword gradually enlarged in Su Jinfu's eyes and finally stabbed into his heart. Ningyu, looking down at the flying sword at his heart, Su Jinfu raised his right hand and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but his vision went black and his body fell backward. Until his death, Su Jinfu still did not understand how Ningyu could resist the suppression of his soul. Poof! After Su Jinfu died, Ningyu kept the soul-severing sword in his storage ring. Following that, Ningyu attached himself to Su Jinfu's body and started searching. After a while, Ningyu got up and took a few steps back. However, there were 2 jade bottles in Ningyu's hands. Each jade bottle contained 3 black elixirs. They were the inner demon elixirs. They are indeed supreme-grade inner demon elixirs. Looking at the 6 inner demon elixirs in the jade bottles, Ningyu was slightly surprised. Su Jinfu was only a level 7 advanced stage alchemist. The fact that he was able to refine a supreme-grade inner demon pill was enough to prove that his alchemy skills were very high. The inner demon pill was extremely difficult to refine among the 7th-grade medicinal pills. An ordinary 7th-grade alchemist might not even be able to refine a low-grade inner demon pill, let alone a supreme-grade inner demon pill. No wonder Su Jinfu could display the first stage of soul suppression. It turned out that he was so adept at controlling the soul. Hiss! Suddenly, a hissing sound rang out. Ning Yu quickly turned his head to look. After Su Jinfu's death, his soul power became very easy to devour. In just 3 minutes, the red demon sword had completely devoured his soul power. After devouring the soul power, the red demon sword did not linger. Instead, it turned into a blur and appeared before Ningyu in the blink of an eye. Xiao! Ningyu did not hesitate and hurriedly sent a wisp of his soul energy into the red demon sword. His soul power had reached the late stage of 5th grade. If he also devoured Su Jinfu's soul power, there was a high chance that his soul power would increase to the peak of 5th grade. As long as his soul power increased to the peak of 5th grade, Ningyu could cultivate the 6 forms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm. Although the first 5 forms of the Netherworld Samsara Palm were not weak, Ningyu's opponents were mostly peak primal core and yin-yang stage martial artists. The 5th form of the Netherworld Samsara Palm was not strong enough. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately sat down cross-legged and took out a supreme-grade essence crystal from his storage ring to replenish the primordial qi he had expended. From Gue Air, Ningyu had obtained 10 million supreme-grade essence crystals and 800,000 supreme-grade essence crystals. Now was the time to use them. The spiritual technique slowly circulated. Wisps of primordial qi gushed out of the supreme-grade essence crystal and flowed through Ningyu's palm into his consciousness. Whoosh! While Ningyu was recovering, a large number of martial artists suddenly appeared in front of the Zhang family. These martial artists were dressed in blood-red robes. On their shoulders were 3 large blood-red words. Evil Blood Guards. Evil Blood Guards. It's the Evil Blood Guards. What are the Evil Blood Guards? You don't even know the Evil Blood Guards. You are indeed outdated. Listen up, the Evil Blood Guards are death warriors trained by the capital Zhang family. They are all early primal core stage. That's right. The Evil Blood Guards are very powerful. Although they are only early primal core stage, each of them has been selected through a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Their combat power is comparable to a mid or late primal core stage martial artist. What are they doing here? What? Isn't it obvious? The Zhang family in Ivory City is about to be breached. The capital Zhang family will definitely not sit back and do nothing. The surrounding discussions naturally entered Ho Qingchen's ears. As the strongest expert in the governor's mansion of Ivory City, no one knew better than him how terrifying the Evil Blood Guards were, except for the higher-ups of the Zhang family. In order to complete their mission, the Evil Blood Guards could self-destruct at any time, the kind of self-destruction that they would do. Imagine how powerful would the self-destruction of 20 or 30 early primal core stage martial artists be? Humph. Where is Zhangbin? Bring him here to see me. At the forefront of the Evil Blood Guards, there was a peak primal core stage martial artist. This peak primal core stage martial artist swept his gaze across the crowd, then landed on the face of an early primal core stage Zhang family martial artist. He said coldly, the dignified Zhang family actually sent people to attack our door. What is Zhang been doing? Sir, please calm down. Hearing the words of the peak primal core stage martial artist, the early primal core stage Zhang family martial artist hurriedly pointed to a martial artist lying behind him and said, Ancestor Zhangbin is here? Before the early primal core stage martial artist had finished speaking, the peak primal core stage Zhang family martial artist's eyes turned cold and he quickly rushed out. Who beat Zhangbin up like this? Looking at Zhang Bin's weak appearance, the peak primal core stage martial artist's face completely darkened as he asked coldly. Ningyu, the early primal core stage martial artist, hurriedly replied. Ningyu. Hearing this, the peak primal core stage martial artist was slightly taken aback. Then the corners of his mouth curled up and he laughed out loud. After the laughter, the peak primal core stage martial artist said, Looks like coming to Ivory City this time was a wise choice. To actually be able to meet Ningyu, it really is a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find what you're looking for without even looking. Speak, where is Ningyu? Then Zhang Quan changed the topic and said, At the Zhang family. Whoosh! In the next moment, Zhang Quan rose from the ground and rushed into the Zhang family in a flash. All of you wait here. Without my permission, no one is to leave. Although he had entered the Zhang family, Zhang Quan did not forget to turn back and order. Isn't the Zhang family in the capital too arrogant? After Zhang Quan left, a martial artist in the middle stage of the real martial realm complained. Yes, what right does he have to stop us from leaving? This is Ivory City, not the capital. Another martial artist in the late stage of the real martial realm chimed in. However, just as these two martial artists finished speaking, their pupils shrank. This was because two figures were rushing straight towards them. Evil blood guards. These two figures were none other than the evil blood guards of the Zhang family in the capital. The evil blood guards were early primal core stage martial artists. Killing martial artists in the middle stage and late stage of the real martial realm was almost effortless. Chapter 387. The Art of Concealment. Chapter 387. Concealment Technique Swish. After the two martial artists at the middle and late stage of the real martial realm were killed, the area instantly became quiet, so quiet that it was scary. At this time, many martial artists were extremely frightened. They knew that the evil blood guards were strong, but they did not expect them to be this strong. The martial artists at the middle and late stage of the real martial realm had been killed by them in one move, and not even their dregs were left. This time, many martial artists became obedient, and some low-level martial artists even held their breath, not daring to breathe too loudly. In contrast, Ho Qingqian's face was much uglier. The capital's Zhang family was behaving so atrociously in Ivory City, completely disrespecting the mayor's residence. Yang Kuan has already used the royal family's unique voice transmission method to contact the royal family. I wonder when the royal family will send someone. Taking a deep breath, Ho Qingqian did not stand out, but chose to wait quietly. He knew that Yang Kuan had used the royal family's unique voice transmission method. Once the royal family received the news, they would definitely send someone strong as soon as possible. From the capital to Ivory City, if a Yin-Yang realm martial artist rushed at full speed, it would only take about 6 hours. It had been 2 hours since Yang Kuan used the voice transmission method, and all Ho Qingqian had to do was wait here. Bang! At the same time, in the Zhang family courtyard. After hurriedly exchanging a punch with Hong Mo, Zhang Quan took a few steps back to stabilize himself. After stabilizing himself, Zhang Quan's face was a little ugly. Originally, he thought that he could kill the man in red in one move. Who would have thought that the man in red was so strong that he could easily block his punch with 50% of his strength? In the capital's Zhang family, Zhang Quan was a peerless genius of the same generation as Zhang Tianwen, and his strength was terrifying. When Zhang Quan was in the late stage of the primal core stage, he had fought with an early stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist and even killed him. The man in red in front of him was only in the late stage of the primal core stage, and his punch with 50% of his strength was easily blocked. Who are you? Taking a deep breath, Zhang Quan said coldly, And who are you? Hong Mo frowned, and his heart became vigilant. Not long ago, Ningyu had communicated with him and told him that there was an expert rushing to the Zhang family. At first, Hong Mo did not think much of it because he did not sense it. But when he saw Zhang Quan, he knew that Ningyu was right. I keep having the feeling that there are experts hiding in the surroundings. The Red Fiend was a spirit body and was very sensitive to energy. He kept feeling that there was an expert in the void and couldn't help but look towards the west. You found me? In the void, an illusory figure furrowed his brows in disbelief. The illusory martial artist was called Zhang Hang. Although his cultivation was only at the half-step yin-yang realm, his concealment technique was superb. He had once obtained a concealment art. Unless it was a yin-yang realm late-stage martial artist, no one would be able to sense him. It shouldn't be possible. His cultivation is only at the late primal core stage. No matter how strong his senses are, he shouldn't be able to detect me. Shaking his head slowly, Zhang Hang said in a deep voice, "Leave this red-clothed man to Zhang Quan. I will go deeper into the Zhang clan to take a look." Humph! It doesn't matter if you don't want to say it, because this day next year will be the day you die. Zhang Quan snorted coldly and flicked his sleeves. In an instant, a cold light flew out and headed straight for the Red Fiend. Although the Red Fiend had 5 primal core stage martial artists by his side, in Zhang Quan's eyes they were all embroidered pillows that looked good but were useless. As long as he wanted to, he could kill them at any time. In his eyes, the Red Fiend was his biggest enemy. "You think you can kill me?" With a cold smile, the Red Fiend's body became illusory. In the next instant, the Red Devil appeared in front of Zhang Quan. His fist brought about a violent gust of wind and landed squarely on Zhang Quan's chest. Bang! Being punched in the chest by the Red Fiend, Zhang Quan couldn't help but take a few steps back. Pah! At this moment, the cold light from Zhang Quan also hit the Red Fiend's chest. The huge force caused the Red Fiend to retreat several feet. In this blow, both sides were evenly matched. "Big brother, should we help?" Seeing the battle between the Red Fiend and Zhang Quan, one of the early primal core stage martial artists frowned. "Not for the time being. The Red Fiend will not be defeated so easily. He still has a trump card that he hasn't used yet," one of the late primal core stage martial artists said, shaking his head. "Big brother is right. Our target is Ningyu. As for other matters that have nothing to do with us, we should try our best not to get involved," another early primal core stage martial artist said. "Big brother, Ningyu and Zhang Hao didn't go to the Zhang family's forbidden grounds together, did they?" the first early primal core stage martial artist asked worriedly. "Ningyu will not die so easily. All we have to do is wait," the late primal core stage martial artist said in a low voice. "Don't ask about anything else and don't say anything. As long as Zhang Quan doesn't provoke us, we don't have to do anything." "All right, whoosh." While the Red Fiend and Zhang Quan were battling, Ningyu exhaled deeply in the courtyard of the Zhang family and slowly stood up. Feeling the strength of his soul power, Ningyu was elated. The late 7th grade soul power is indeed very strong. It directly raised my soul power to the pinnacle of 5th grade. Now I can try to practice the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm. After a period of devouring, Ningyu had finally devoured all of Su Jinfu's soul power, and the strength of his soul had also advanced from the late 5th grade to the pinnacle. After his soul power had advanced to the pinnacle of 5th grade, Ningyu felt refreshed, and even his senses had improved significantly. The 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm, reincarnation. Oh no! In his mind, Ningyu recalled the 6th form of the netherworld samsara palm. Just as he was about to practice it, his expression changed and his pupils shrank. Without much time to think, he immediately gathered the yuan qi in his sea of knowledge into his palms and struck out. Pum! In the next moment, a crisp sound rang in the area. Then, Ningyu's body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Crack! His body hit the door of the courtyard heavily, and the wooden door was smashed into pieces. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Ning Yu stared at a black figure not far away. His face was completely gloomy, although the martial artist in front of him was only a half step to the Yin realm. His concealment skill was very strong. If his soul power had not advanced to the pinnacle of 5th grade, he might not even know how he was killed. Ning Yu, how did you find me? At this moment, Zhang Heng's face was full of disbelief. To be precise, he was extremely dumbfounded. In fact, it was no wonder that his concealment skill, which he was so proud of, had been discovered by Ning Yu. If Ning Yu was a martial artist in the advanced Yin realm, it would be fine. However, the reality was that Ning Yu was in the advanced, real martial realm. How do you know my name? Without answering Zhang Heng's question, Ning Yu frowned and said, First of all, you are not from the corpse sect, because you don't have a trace of the corpse sect's aura on you. Secondly, this is the Zhang family. Chapter 388. Easily. Haha. So what if you know I'm from the capital's Zhang family? Do you want to go there and cause trouble? After a brief moment of shock, Zhang Heng smirked. Today, I, Zhang Heng, will let you know the consequences of offending the Zhang family. I will go to the capital's Zhang family, but not now. Ning Yu was furious. The capital's Zhang family had been going against him time and time again, and he was on the verge of exploding. He would go to the capital's Zhang family sooner or later. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu said in a low voice, I have something to do now. What is it? Zhang Heng asked with a raised eyebrow. To kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Yu's eyes turned cold. He waved the red demon's sword in his hand, and in an instant a powerful sword wave was unleashed. Supreme 9 Purities Technique, 6th Form, Solitaire. The next moment, the sword wave appeared above Zhang Heng's head and slashed towards his face. Oh no! Seeing the sword wave approaching him, Zhang Heng's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly retreated. He had not expected the sword wave that Ning Yu had unleashed to be so powerful. It was so powerful that it made his heart palpitate. In Zhang Heng's view, the power of the sword wave was infinitely close to the limit of a peak primal core martial artist. Ning Yu was only a martial artist in the late stages of the true martial realm. How could he unleash such a powerful technique? A series of questions arose in Zhang Heng's mind, causing him to be momentarily dazed. It's not good to be distracted now. Just as Zhang Heng was slightly distracted, Gu Jianba had already arrived beside him and ruthlessly chopped at his head. At this critical moment, Zhang Heng used all his strength to dodge to the side. Whoosh! The sword wave was very fast. Although Zhang Heng dodged with all his might, the sword wave still slashed his cheek, and blood dripped down his cheek. Ning Yu, I want you dead! Zhang Heng shouted with a sinister expression as he touched the blood on his face. Ning Yu frowned slightly and said lightly, If you let the 20 or 30 martial artists of the Zhang family come in together, they might be able to pose a threat to me. As for you... At this point, Ning Yu stretched out his index finger and waved it in front of him. Far from enough. Humph! I will let you know what despair is. Zhang Heng coldly snorted. Soon after, his figure gradually became illusory. In the blink of an eye, he completely disappeared. The concealment technique is indeed superb. Seeing Zhang Heng disappear, Ning Yu slowly closed his eyes. Although his eyes were closed, Ning Yu released his soul perception to detect Zhang Heng's exact location. 3 meters to the left. Suddenly, Ning Yu's eyes opened, and the red demon sword in his hand pierced through the air. Hua! However, just as the red demon's sword stabbed out, Zhang Heng's position changed. He appeared 5 meters to the right of Ning Yu. Whoosh! Ning Yu stabbed out again. Unfortunately, the sword still did not hit Zhang Heng. Once again, Zhang Heng dodged it. I don't believe you won't attack first. Having been dodged 2 consecutive times by Zhang Heng, Ning Yu sat down cross-legged and gave up on attacking. However, Ningyu did not withdraw his soul perception. Instead, it lingered by his side. In fact, Ningyu even sent a portion of his soul perception to the red demon to observe his situation. The red demon's situation was much better than Ningyu's. Zhang Quan was only a peak primal core martial artist, and his concealment technique was not strong. The red demon had the upper hand, and victory was only a matter of time. Against Zhang Hang, should I use the vortex of dead souls? After confirming that the red demon was fine, Ningyu fell into deep thought. After Su Jinfu had died in battle, he had relied on the method that Sun Jiangwen had taught him to completely control the vortex of dead souls. Although he had control of the vortex of dead souls, Ningyu could not unleash its full power. The key reason was that he did not have the yin qi of the dead souls. Without the yin qi of the dead souls, the power of the vortex of dead souls was at most equivalent to that of a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist. Forget it. I'll keep the vortex of dead souls. Who knows? I might be able to find yin qi of the dead souls in the future. After some thought, Ningyu dismissed the idea of using the vortex of dead souls. Su Jinfu's vortex of dead souls was of a very high level. It was far stronger than Qi Zhang's vortex of dead souls. Who knows? I might be able to use it if I keep it. Zhang Hang's concealment technique is very good. I have to find a way to force out the cultivation method of the concealment technique. Ningyu secretly made up his mind to capture Zhang Hang and force out the concealment technique. Ningyu was very clear that if he did not have the soul perception of his previous life, even if his soul power was at the 6th grade level, he would not be able to detect Zhang Hang. Swoosh! At this moment, Zhang Hang suddenly jumped out of the void. His right hand clenched into a fist, which contained an extremely violent fluctuation of essence qi, ruthlessly punched at Ningyu's chest. Vajra fist! Zhang Hang's fist was heavy and powerful. If an ordinary true martial realm martial artist was hit by it, even if he did not die, he would still end up crippled. Vajra fist ha! Facing Zhang Hang's fist, Ningyu's face was slightly dignified. His sea of consciousness rolled, and 2 illusory golden cores jumped out of his sea of consciousness. Buzz! Immediately, the essence qi in the 2 illusory golden cores poured out and gathered on top of his fist. Bang! In the next instant, Ningyu's fist blasted out and collided with Zhang Hang's fist. When the 2 fists collided, a loud sound came out. Zhang Hang's pupil shrank, and he retreated a few feet. As for Ningyu, he stood in the same place as if nothing had happened. You have 2 illusory golden cores. Ah! With a cold expression, Zhang Hang raised his right hand. Just as he was about to speak, he let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out. Zhang Hang looked down at his right fist, which was constantly bleeding, and stood there in a daze. Swoosh! Ningyu did not stop his attack because of Zhang Hang's daze. His figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside Zhang Hang. He placed the red demon's sword on Zhang Hang's neck and said coldly, "You said that you would let me know the consequences of offending the Zhang family. Is this the consequence?" You, feeling the cold flying sword on his neck, Zhang Hang's heart sank to the bottom. Things always developed in a dramatic way. When he first saw Ningyu, he thought that he could easily kill Ningyu. When Ningyu used solitaire, he thought that Ningyu's strength was not bad, but it was just not bad. With Ningyu's flying sword on his neck, he finally understood why Ningyu could rise again and again on the Zhang family's catch-up list. Now he had risen to first place. Ningyu, don't be too proud. The Zhang family has many warriors stronger than me. You can kill me today, but tomorrow you will be killed by the Zhang family warriors. Zhang Hang said proudly. Hee hee, you still dare to be so stubborn when you're about to die. With a smile, Ningyu said, Answer 2 of my questions, and I can save you from the pain of your soul being burned. You want to ask me everything about the Zhang family? Dream on. Zhang Hang said stubbornly. To tell you the truth, I don't care about the Zhang family. I will go to the Zhang family sooner or later. Chapter 389. Chapter 389. Heavily injured. You're interested in my concealment technique? Ha ha ha. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhang Hang was stunned for a moment before he burst into laughter. Don't even think about my concealment technique. Even if I die, I won't hand it over to you. Is that so? Raising an eyebrow, Ningyu exerted some force with the red devil's sword in his hand. Once you fall into my hands, even death will be an extravagant hope for you. Chi-chi. Blood seeped out of Zhang Hang's neck. When it came into contact with the red devil's sword, it made a sizzling sound. Forget it. Your concealment technique is nothing special. Even a late-stage true martial realm martial artist like me can easily discover it. It's fine if you don't have it. Suddenly Ningyu shrugged and said, I'll kill you today and take it as interest from the Zhang family. Whoosh! Immediately, Ningyu moved the red devil's sword away from Zhang Hang's neck and swung it down. Wait! However, before the red devil's sword could completely swing down, Zhang Hang shouted, I can hand over the concealment technique to you, but you have to spare my life. You have no right to bargain with me. The red devil's sword stopped in midair. Ningyu said coldly, hand over the concealment technique and you'll have a chance to live. If you don't, there's only one ending for you, and that is death. All right, I promise you, but the concealment technique is in my head. I'll write it down, Zhang Hang hurriedly said. I'll give you 5 minutes. Withdrawing the red devil sword, Ningyu took a few steps back and paid close attention to Zhang Hang's movements. Rip! Seeing Ningyu retreat, Zhang Hang tore off a corner of his clothes. Then, with strands of yuan qi wrapped around his finger, he began to write down the concealment technique. However, in the process, Zhang Hang's back was facing Ningyu, and a sinister smile appeared on his face. After about 5 minutes, Zhang Hang stopped and threw the corner of his clothes to Ningyu. Pa! Catching the corner of the cloth, Ningyu roughly scanned through the contents on it. Shortly after, blue flames danced on his fingertips, directly burning the corner of the cloth into ashes. There are at least 3 mistakes in the concealment technique formula you wrote for me, Ningyu said gloomily. The concealment technique written by Zhang Hang mainly relied on soul force to achieve concealment. As a peak 9th grade alchemist in his previous life, Ningyu's control over soul force had already reached the pinnacle. Although he had never seen Zhang Hang's concealment technique before, he could still determine that there were 3 mistakes in Zhang Hang's technique. This is impossible. I modified those 3 places to be extremely secretive. How could you have discovered it? Zhang Hang shouted with a face full of astonishment. If that's the case, then it really was you who did it. Ningyu's expression darkened completely. In the next instant, he gripped the red demon sword in his hand and injected the vital qi from the golden core of the virtual image into it. Then he quickly slashed out a sword wave. Hua! The sword wave was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it appeared in front of Zhang Hang. Then, under the latter's terrified gaze, it slashed at his neck. You! Feeling the piercing pain on his neck, Zhang Hang's mouth opened slightly and his eyes widened. He stretched out his hand and pointed at Ningyu, wanting to say something, but before he could finish, he fell to the ground with a thud. Buzz! At that moment, the red demon's sword began to vibrate and emit a buzzing sound. The change in the red demon's sword caused Ningyu to be slightly taken aback. Then, as if he had thought of something, Ningyu's expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly extended his senses. Damn it! Cursing under his breath, Ningyu immediately rose from the ground and rushed towards the battlefield where the red demon's sword was at an astonishing speed. Bang! In the courtyard of the Zhang family, the red demon's sword forced an early primal core evil blood guard to retreat. He leaned against the wall and panted heavily. The red demon's sword had been about to kill Zhang Quan. But who would have thought that 10 early primal core evil blood guards would suddenly appear and surround the red demon's sword with Zhang Quan? The red demon's sword was stronger than Zhang Quan, but not to the extent of being abnormally strong. After battling with Zhang Quan for more than 10 minutes, the red demon's sword finally found an opening in Zhang Quan's defense and wanted to kill him in one blow. Unexpectedly, 10 early primal core evil blood guards appeared in time to not only save Zhang Quan, but also to attack the red demon. This caused the red demon sword to be exhausted from running for his life. Haha, aren't you arrogant? Arrogant? Seeing the red demon's miserable state, Zhang Quan laughed sinisterly. I only need to use 10 evil blood guards to defeat you. Pfft. Aren't you afraid of biting off your tongue? The red demon said coldly. If I want to leave, you can't stop me. You think you can leave? Shrugging, Zhang Quan pointed to the 5 primal core realm warriors beside him and said sinisterly, if I want to, I can kill these 5 primal core realm warriors at any time. Whoosh! Hearing Zhang Quan's words, the expressions of the 5 primal core realm warriors changed slightly. One of the early primal core realm warriors said in a low voice, Big brother! Before the early primal core realm warrior could finish a sentence, the late primal core realm warrior, who was addressed as Big Brother, waved his hand and said in a low voice, Wait for them to make their move. Just 10 early primal core evil blood guards won't be able to do anything to us. Later, watch for my signal and remember not to be rash. The 5 of them are primal core realm warriors from Ivory City. If you kill them, aren't you afraid of being surrounded by the warriors from Ivory City? At this point, the red demon calmed down and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. No matter how powerful the Zhang family of the capital is, they can't go against the entire Ivory City. Ha ha ha. Zhang Quan laughed maniacally. Then his expression turned cold and he scolded. The entire Ivory City? To tell you the truth, after today, Ivory City will probably be riddled with. Oh no. Halfway through his sentence, Zhang Quan's pupils shrank and he retreated. As he retreated, Zhang Quan shouted, Evil blood guards, protect me! Hearing this, the 10 evil blood guards moved out in unison and formed a circle in front of Zhang Quan, surrounding him tightly within. Whoosh! The 10 evil blood guards had just surrounded Zhang Quan when several terrifying sword waves appeared above their heads. Stop the sword waves at all costs. Zhang Quan's heart sank as he looked at the terrifying sword ripples that kept coming at him. He cried out hysterically. Like the red demon, Zhang Quan had expended a lot of energy. He wanted to escape, but he did not have the strength. He could only pin his hopes on the 10 evil blood guards. Fortunately, the evil blood guards were men of sacrifice and would obey orders without question. Whoosh! As soon as Zhang Quan finished speaking, one of the evil blood guards flew up into the sky and collided with the sword waves. Whoosh! The sword waves were extremely powerful. The evil blood guard did not even manage to block them for a second before he was defeated and died on the spot. Whoosh! 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 Soon after, another 3 evil blood guards charged out, charging towards the sword wave in the sky without any hesitation. Whoosh! 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 The outcome was as expected. After resisting for a second, the 3 evil blood guards were defeated and killed on the spot. Chapter 390. A little test. Hearing Zhang Quan's words, the remaining 6 evil blood guards did not hesitate. They leaped into the air and channeled their Yuan Qi to form a protective Yuan Qi shield above Zhang Quan's head. Whoosh! The 6 evil blood guards were only at the early primal core stage. Even though they tried their best to block the attack, a sword wave still tore through the Yuan Qi shield and headed straight for Zhang Quan. Damn it! What the hell are you all doing? Seeing the powerful sword wave break through the shield and head for him, Zhang Quan's expression changed. He cursed under his breath and immediately retreated. However, Zhang Quan had expended too much energy. His speed of retreat was obviously slower than the sword wave, and he was quickly caught up. The sword wave gradually expanded before Zhang Quan's eyes and finally landed heavily on his chest. Bang! As the sword wave hit his chest, Zhang Quan felt a sweet taste in his throat. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and his face turned extremely pale. Swoosh! At this moment, a figure approached from afar and landed in front of Zhang Quan. You are Ningyu. Zhang Quan raised his head to look at the warrior who had suddenly appeared. He was stunned at first, then said coldly, Why are you here? Where is Zhang Hang? You wish to see Zhang Hang? All right, since you have requested it, I will fulfill your wish. Ningyu shrugged and then swung the red demon sword in his hand towards Zhang Quan. Seeing the flying sword approaching him, Zhang Quan's eyes narrowed. He could not help but raise his arm to block. Crack! After all, Zhang Quan was only a peak primal core warrior. The strength of his body could not compare to a king-level flying sword. With a loud crack, Zhang Quan's arm was chopped off. Ah! With his arm chopped off, Zhang Quan let out a hysterical scream. Pooh! In the next moment, Zhang Quan's scream came to an abrupt stop before it could even finish. He lowered his head to look at the red, flying sword sticking out of his heart. His mouth opened slightly as he raised his left hand and pointed at Ningyu. Then his eyes dimmed. Bang! His body fell backward and landed heavily on the ground. At this moment, the Zhang family's genius, Zhang Quan, had died in battle. I've underestimated Ningyu. He's much stronger than he looks. Seeing that Zhang Quan had been killed, among the 5 primal core practitioners, the leader of the late primal core practitioners muttered, We have to act quickly. If we give him more time, the things I brought might not be of any use to him. Cough, cough. After killing Zhang Quan, Ningyu coughed twice and slowly walked toward the Red Devil. Big brother, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity if you don't act now. Ningyu's actions caused the mid-primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner to be slightly taken aback, and he hurriedly said, Shut up, I know what I'm doing. The late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner said coldly, We cannot fight in Ivory City. Sigh. Hearing this, the intermediate primal core stage warrior sighed and turned his head away. In his opinion, this was a rare opportunity. If he missed this opportunity, he might not get another one. Ningyu had just fought a great battle, and his strength was definitely not at its peak. There couldn't be a better time to make a move. He didn't fall for it. Ningyu's brows furrowed slightly, feeling somewhat incredulous. The reason he had pretended to cough was to force the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners to make a move and give themselves away. Unexpectedly, the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners were very calm and did not make a move. Since that was the case, Ningyu did not expose them for the time being. Instead, he came to the Red Devil's side and asked, Red Devil, how are you? Are you all right? Shaking his head, the Red Devil said, I'm fine, I won't die yet. If you die, I'll immediately head to the capital and trample the Zhang family to the ground. Ningyu said coldly, Let's not talk about this first. In your opinion, should we? As he spoke, the Red Devil glanced at the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners and told Ningyu what he had heard from the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners. After a moment's thought, Ningyu said, There are still 15 evil blood guards outside. Now is not the time to act. Just 15 evil blood guards, leave them to me. The Red Devil said proudly, Are you sure you're a match for them? Ningyu asked hesitantly. The evil blood guards were only at the early primal core stage. With the Red Devil's strength, if he was at his peak, it would not be difficult to kill them. More importantly, the Red Devil had expended a lot of energy and was not at his peak. You don't have to worry about that. Just give me the red devil sword to use. I promise to finish off all the evil blood guards within 20 minutes. The red devil said, furthermore, if I were to act against the evil blood guards, Ho Qingchen and Sun Xing would definitely help. Be careful. I'll give you the red devil sword and 3 million premium origin crystals for you to use. Ningyu threw the red devil sword to the red devil. Following that, he took out a storage bag and handed it to the red devil. Wait here first, I'll be right back. After receiving the red devil sword and the storage bag, the red devil looked at the 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners and said to Ningyu, if they dare to act against you, I'll rush back immediately. Whoosh! With that, the red devil rose from the ground and rushed out of the Zhang family in the blink of an eye. After the red devil disappeared, there were only 6 people left in the area. 5 primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners and 1 Ningyu. What are your names? After sorting out his thoughts, Ningyu came before a late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner and said, You should know my name, Ningyu from Dongwu College. Outsiders call us the Dang Shan 5 Tigers. Before the late primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner could speak, one of the early primal core stage ancient martial art practitioners said, My eldest brother is the Golden Tiger, second brother is the Silver Tiger, third brother is the Bronze Tiger, fourth brother is the Iron Tiger, and as for me, the Leather Tiger. Gold, silver, bronze, and iron skin? Hearing the names of the 5 ancient martial art practitioners, Ningyu was speechless. There were people with such names. The world was really big and full of strange things. That gold. Golden Tiger, can I ask you a question? Ningyu asked hesitantly. Ask away. As long as I know, I will tell you, Golden Tiger said. How strong are you? Ningyu asked. Strength. Frowning slightly, Golden Tiger said, If the 5 of us work together, we should be able to go up against a peak, primal, core stage, ancient martial art practitioner. Golden Tiger did not know what Ningyu was asking, so he answered very formally. Oh, if you can go up against a peak, primal, core stage, ancient martial art practitioner, why didn't you help when the Red Devil was surrounded by the Zhang family? Ningyu asked casually. This. Golden Tiger was a little embarrassed. He looked around and said, The capital Zhang family is very powerful. We did not want to offend them. Ha! You did not want to offend the capital Zhang family, so you let my brother fight for you? Ningyu laughed coldly. If not for my brother, the Red Devil, you would have been blown to smithereens by now. Humph! We were blasted to the point where not even dregs were left. Just 1 peak primal core stage ancient martial art practitioner from the Zhang family and the remaining 10 evil blood guards? Chapter 391. Heavily injured, 5th brother. No one will take you for a mute if you don't speak. Jean, whose face darkened as he chided. The 5 of us together can only go up against a peak Yuan core martial artist. How are you going to kill an early Yin-Yang martial artist? Big brother. Pai, who fiercely glared at Ningyu after being scolded by the Golden Tiger. Then he immediately retreated behind the Golden Tiger and no longer spoke. He, Ningyu, my 5th brother has a big mouth. His words cannot be trusted. Jean, who laughed. Your 5th brother's words can't be trusted, but what about yours? Ningyu stared at Golden Tiger and said solemnly. Being stared at by Ningyu, Jean, who felt like he was being stared at by a wolf and felt uncomfortable. Resisting the urge to attack, Jean, who said, Of course my words can be trusted. I have no quarrel with you. There is no reason for me to lie to you. I hope so. Shrugging, Ningyu walked to an empty space and sat down cross-legged. After Ningyu sat down, Jean, Hu, and the rest looked at each other and began to discuss in low voices. Big brother, I think Ningyu has already discovered us. Why don't we make our move while the man in red is gone? Pai, who was the first to speak. He was still holding a grudge for what had happened earlier and could not wait to grab Ningyu and slap Ningyu a few times. Big brother, I think fifth brother is right. Ningyu must have noticed something. If we wait any longer, it will only be disadvantageous for us. Tai Hu and Pai Hu shared the same opinion. The man in red who went out just now has already gone up against the evil blood guards. Silver and bronze tigers echoed. Losing an important helper is very beneficial for us. This is a rare opportunity. We cannot miss it. Hearing the other four martial artists' words, Jin, whose heart began to waver. Ningyu's growth was just too fast. Compared to the Ningyu who fought Zhang Bin, the current Ningyu's strength had increased by at least 30%. In other words, if Ningyu was given another 2 hours, it was highly likely that Ningyu's strength would double. Now that Ningyu was already so strong, if he doubled it, the scene would be too beautiful. Golden Tiger didn't dare to think about it. After pondering for a moment, Golden Tiger said coldly, Pai Hu, go test Ningyu first. See if Ningyu is at his peak. Golden Tiger didn't plan on completely exposing himself. He decided to let Pai Hu test the waters. If Ningyu wasn't at his peak, he would join the battle and fight Ningyu with Pai Hu. If Ningyu was strong, then they would have to think about it at length. Yes, big brother. Pai Hu had been waiting for this moment for a long time. His face lit up when he heard Golden Tiger's words. His figure flickered as he arrived in front of Ningyu. Kid, didn't you say that we were weak? Now I challenge you. Pai Hu said sinisterly. Not interested. Ningyu didn't even bat an eyelid as he rejected Pai Hu's challenge. You're asking for it. Pai Hu was enraged by Ningyu's disregard. In the next moment, he rose from the ground and punched at Ningyu with a violent gust of wind. There is indeed something wrong with an early primal core cultivation to be able to unleash such powerful combat power. Feeling the violent Yuan Qi in Pai Hu's fist, Ningyu's face turned serious, but that was all. Even if Pai Hu's strength doubled, he would still not be a match for him. Ningyu's right hand struck out and collided with Pai Hu's fist. Crack! Ah! When the two fists collided, a crisp sound accompanied by a scream like a pig being slaughtered rang out in the area. What's going on? I don't know. This scream seems to have come from the Zhang family's courtyard. Is there anyone else in the Zhang family's courtyard? Of course there are people inside. Have you forgotten that Ningyu and the 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists are still inside? Not just them. There are also the Zhang family's peak primal core practitioners and 10 evil blood guards. The Zhang family's peak primal core practitioners and 10 evil blood guards must have met with misfortune. Otherwise, the man in red beside Ningyu would not have come out and fought with the remaining 10 evil blood guards. In front of the Zhang family's courtyard, many practitioners stood on 2 sides, leaving a large open space in the middle. In the open space, a chaotic battle was taking place. The 2 sides were naturally the Zhang family and the Hong Mo family. On the Hong Mo side, there were Sun Xing, Ho Qing Qin, and the elders of the various families. On the Zhang family side, there were the Zhang family practitioners and 10 evil blood guards. Originally, everyone was watching the battle between the Zhang family and the Hong Mo family. Who would have thought that a scream like a pig being slaughtered would come from the Zhang family's courtyard, attracting everyone's attention? Ningyu, I want you dead. Pai Hu let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered as his bones were smashed. Then, with a hideous look, he said, No one can save you today. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why all the nonsense? Patting his butt, Ningyu stood up from the ground and said, You're not my opponent. Tai Hu, Tong Hu, come at me together. Big brother. Hearing this, Tai Hu and Tong Hu looked at Golden Tiger, seeking his opinion. We can try, Golden Tiger said. Whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Golden Tiger finished speaking, Tai Hu and Tong Hu rose from the ground and turned into a blur as they charged at Ningyu with Pai Hu. Pai Hu and Tai Hu were early primal core practitioners, while Tong Hu was mid-primal core practitioners. The three of them together could match a peak primal core practitioner in terms of aura. 3. Seeing Pai Hu and the others charging at him, Ning Yu's face darkened. He waved his sleeve and a flying sword appeared in his hand. Soul-severing sword. Ning, you had already handed the Red Devil's sword to Hong Mo. Now, he could only use the soul-severing sword. Fortunately, Pai Hu and the others did not have high levels of cultivation. Otherwise, Ning Yu would not be able to defeat them with the soul-severing sword alone. Solitaire. With a low shout, Ning Yu waved the soul-severing sword and sent out a sword wave towards Pai Hu and the others. Buzz. As soon as the sword wave flew out, it split into 3 and slashed at Pai Hu, Tai Hu and Tong Hu respectively. Oh no! Pai Hu and the others were not fools. They could clearly feel the powerful Yuan Qi waves coming from the sword wave. However, they had already said what they wanted. If they backed out now, they would definitely be mocked by Ning Yu. They had no choice but to face the sword wave head-on. Uft, uft, uft. Without a doubt, Pai Hu and the others had overestimated their strength. The 3 sword waves tore apart the energy barrier in front of them in an instant. Then, under their horrified gazes, they slashed at their chests. The pain from their chests caused Pai Hu and the others to spit out a mouthful of blood. Their breaths were weak. Hiss! However, they did not notice that when the sword wave came into contact with their chests, a wisp of soul power quietly attached itself to them and entered their bodies through the wounds on their chests. Come back. After doing all this, Ning Yu waved his hand, and the soul-severing sword turned around in the air and returned to his side. Chapter 392. Chapter 392. Shattering the Protective Shield, Puchi. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Pai Hu spat out another mouthful of blood, his face ashen with anger. He had lost to Ning Yu twice, and the second time it was 3 people against him at the same time. This made Pai Hu lose all face. Pai Hu clenched his fists, forgetting that the bones in his right hand had been broken by Ning Yu. He couldn't help but let out a miserable shriek. Ning Yu, it's just a spar. Don't you think it's a little inexcusable for you to be so heavy-handed? Just then, Silver Tiger's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Pai Hu, blocking him. Inexcusable. Ning Yu raised his eyebrows. Injuries are unavoidable in a spar. If you're afraid, then don't spar with me from the start. Humph, I'll spar with you. Silver Tiger snorted coldly. Do you dare? Ning Yu didn't answer Silver Tiger. Instead, he moved his feet, walking toward Golden Tiger. After a while, Ning Yu stood in front of Golden Tiger. What do you think of this matter? Ning Yu asked directly. I have no opinion. I won't stop Second Brother from doing what he wants to do, Golden Tiger said indifferently as if he didn't care. Ning Yu, do you dare or not? If you don't dare, just admit defeat and I won't make things difficult for you. Silver Tiger shouted. Why wouldn't I dare? Ning Yu shrugged. I'm just afraid that someone will admit defeat later. Shameless boasting. With a sneer, Silver Tiger appeared in front of Ning Yu like a ghost. His leg brought along a violent Yuan Qi gale, ruthlessly sweeping toward Ning Yu's head. This kick was powerful, heavy and clean. If Ning Yu was kicked, his brain would probably explode. Silver Tiger's sudden attack made Ning Yu's face turn grave. He raised his right arm in front of him. Bang! Silver Tiger's kick landed squarely on Ning Yu's right arm. Kacha! The heavy blow even caused cracks to appear on the bluestone floor beneath Ning Yu's feet. If this is all you've got, then go to hell. Shio! In the next moment, the Silver Tiger leaped into the air and charged at Ning Yu at an astonishing speed. With Second Brother's help, that brat Ning Yu is dead for sure, Pai Hu said sinisterly when he saw Silver Tiger dashing out. That's right. Second brother's strength is comparable to an early-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. How could Ning Yu be his match? Tong, who nodded. I'm really looking forward to seeing Ning Yu's expression when he kneels on the ground and begs for mercy. Tai, who said, coldly. Third brother, fourth brother, after Ning Yu is defeated, you must give me a chance to humiliate him. Pai, who said viciously, don't worry, fifth brother. We will keep Ning Yu's arm for you. Tong, who smiled as he patted Pai, whose shoulder. Yes, when the time comes, not only can you cripple Ning Yu's arm, but you can also dig out. What? Tai, who echoed. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw a horrifying scene. His eyes widened, and his face was filled with astonishment. Not far away, Ning Yu formed a hand seal with his right hand and suddenly blasted out a palm print. The palm print contained violent yuan qi fluctuations, and before the silver tiger could react, it had already arrived in front of him. Xiao! Then Ning Yu waved his sleeves, and a weak, cold glint of soul power shot out. Explode! Following Ning Yu's shout, the cold light of his soul force collided with the palm print and exploded. Rumble! The aftermath of the explosion seemed to have eyes and rushed towards Silver Tiger. Damn it! The sudden change caused Silver Tiger's expression to change. He hurriedly took out the golden core in his sea of consciousness and let it float above his head. Buzz! The yuan qi in Silver Tiger's golden core quickly surged out and formed a yuan qi shield in front of him. After the shield was formed, Silver Tiger was still a little worried. He took out a white ball and crushed it. When the ball shattered, a terrifying yuan qi surged out and attached itself to the yuan qi shield in front of Silver Tiger. Qi! 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 The aftermath of the explosion collided with the yuan qi shield and produced a continuous burst of sizzling sounds. Is Ning Yu so strong? Could it be that even second brother is no match for him? Impossible. Second brother must have held back. Pai, who shouted loudly, Second brother, what are you waiting for? Show your trump card and defeat that brat Ning Yu. Silver Tiger also wanted to use his trump card, but now that he was trapped in the yuan qi shield, he didn't dare to move an inch. He could feel that the aftermath of the explosion of Ning Yu's palm imprint contained a terrifying soul pressure. If he used his trump card now, Ning Yu would definitely see through it and take it away. That was because he couldn't use his trump card under the powerful soul force. Silver Tiger communicated with Golden Tiger while resisting the aftermath of the explosion. Big brother, if we don't attack now, when will we? Jean, who took a deep breath and said, Give me 3 minutes. I need to prepare. Ning Yu's strength was somewhat beyond Golden Tiger's expectations. He originally thought that no matter how weak Silver Tiger was, he could at least fight with Ning Yu for a few dozen moves. But now it seemed that he was wrong. In just 2 moves, Silver Tiger was restrained. Moreover, he was restrained so tightly that he couldn't even use his trump card. I can't care so much. Even if others find out, I have to seize this chance to capture Ning Yu. Golden Tiger's eyes flashed with a bright light. He immediately sat down cross-legged and quickly formed hand seals with both hands. Actually, before coming here, Golden Tiger's order was to bring back Ning Yu without alerting anyone else and arousing their suspicions. If it really didn't work, then he could kill him. Therefore, Golden Tiger didn't plan to attack in Ivory City at first. But the current situation didn't allow him to think too much. He could only capture Ning Yu here, or even kill him. Although Ning Yu was attacking the yuan qi shield in front of Silver Tiger with all his strength, his eyes were still focused on Golden Tiger, especially when Golden Tiger sat down cross-legged and started forming hand seals with both hands. His expression also became completely gloomy. 3 minutes to prepare. Ning Yu was very skilled in controlling his soul power. Moreover, Silver Tiger's soul power was only at the level 4 level. Therefore, Ning Yu had already seen through the conversation between Silver Tiger and Golden Tiger. Ning Yu knew very well that Silver Tiger was not weak. If he hadn't taken the initiative, he would probably still be entangled with Silver Tiger. If that's the case, I'll kill Silver Tiger first. Thinking of this, Ningyu's eyes turned cold, and he slashed with the soul-breaking sword in his hand. Whoosh! In the next instant, several sword waves appeared and blasted toward the Yuan Qi barrier in front of Silver Tiger from all directions. Crack! Several sword waves slashed at the Yuan Qi protective shield, and in an instant, the Yuan Qi protective shield was on the verge of collapsing, constantly swaying. Oh no! Chapter 393. Mother and Child Ring. Damn it! The item that Golden Tiger brought needed 3 minutes to prepare before it could unleash its full power. Only 2 minutes had passed, and he was not ready yet. However, he cursed under his breath when he saw Silver Tiger's miserable state. His body turned into an afterimage as he charged at Ningyu. Golden Tiger had no other choice. If he did not make a move, Silver Tiger would most likely be killed. He had fought alongside Silver Tiger and the others for a long time and had a good relationship with them. Naturally, he did not want to see Silver Tiger and the others killed. Finally, making a move, seeing Golden Tiger charging at him, Ningyu's expression turned grave. In the next moment, he injected the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness into his fist and punched the primordial qi barrier in front of Silver Tiger. Crack! Bang! 2 consecutive sounds rang out in the area. The first was the sound of the primordial qi barrier shattering. The second was the sound of Silver Tiger being sent flying and hitting the wall. Uft! Silver Tiger coughed up a mouthful of blood. His aura was somewhat weak. Thump! Silver Tiger struggled to stand up, but he realized that his legs were weak and fell to the ground again. Solitaire! After sending Silver Tiger flying with 1 strike, Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He quickly swung the Absolute Soul Sword in his hand and slashed out a huge sword wave. Not only was this sword wave huge, but it was also much more powerful than the previous sword waves. Humph! Child's play. Golden Tiger clearly did not take the sword wave seriously. He snorted and swung out a cold gleam from his sleeve. Uft! The cold gleam and the sword wave collided. What Golden Tiger expected did not happen. Instead, the cold gleam that he swung out was defeated. Then, a huge sword wave slashed toward the Golden Tiger's face. Go! At the critical moment, Golden Tiger reached into his pocket and took out a silver bracelet. He frantically injected the primordial qi in his body into the bracelet. As the primordial qi continued to enter, the bracelet gradually grew until it was the size of Golden Tiger. What? Then, under Ningyu's astonished gaze, the ring erupted with a terrifying devouring force, swallowing the sword wave that he slashed out into its body. Obviously, Ningyu did not expect such a change. After staring at the ring for a second, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad feeling about this. Devour magic treasures. Furthermore, it has reached heaven rank high grade. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn, because he determined that the ring before the Golden Tiger wasn't an ordinary magic treasure. It was a devouring magic treasure, and it was a shocking high-grade heaven rank magic treasure. Although the Absolute Soul Sword was also a devouring magic treasure, it was merely a low-grade heaven rank magic treasure. Moreover, it could only devour soul force. If Ningyu didn't guess wrongly, the ring in front of him could not only absorb soul force, but it could also devour Yuan Qi. Ningyu, I didn't expect you to know your stuff. After the ring had completely devoured the sword wave, Golden Tiger sneered, surrender obediently and let me destroy your cultivation. Then you might have a chance to live. Otherwise, then Golden Tiger threw the ring into the air and said gloomily, only death awaits you. Golden Tiger, do you think a high-grade heaven rank devouring magic treasure can restrain me? Ningyu said coldly, I think you've misunderstood. Golden Tiger shrugged and pointed at the ring in the air. This is just a child ring. Its function is to devour soul force and yuan qi. Child ring? There's a mother ring? Ningyu frowned. Of course. Golden Tiger waved his sleeve, and in the blink of an eye, a golden ring flew out and stopped on top of the silver white ring. This is a mother ring. The mother ring is much more powerful than the child ring because it can launch attacks. Big brother, stop talking nonsense with him. Hurry up and kill him. At this moment, Pai Hu dragged his heavy steps to Golden Tiger and said fiercely, If we delay, there might be changes. That's right, big brother. Ningyu is very cunning. He might have already asked for help from Dongwu College. Not far away, Silver Tiger shouted. When we came, the Crown Prince said that this time Dongwu College will also send experts. Second brother. Golden Tiger scolded before Silver Tiger could finish his sentence. The Crown Prince? Although Silver Tiger quickly shut his mouth, Ningyu still heard the key word from his mouth. The Crown Prince. Could it be that Golden Tiger and the others were sent by the Crown Prince? Thinking of this, Ningyu clenched his fists and was on the verge of exploding in anger. The imperial family was too much. First, they sent Tu Zhan, who was at the Yinyang realm, to bring the Dark Emperor to the capital. Who would have thought that Tu Zhan would fail miserably and be brought to the entrance of the Ivory Tower by the Hall Master of Alchemy and forced to self-destruct? Now, the Crown Prince had also sent 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists to take his life. An aunt could endure, but an uncle could not. Whoosh! With a thought, Ningyu's 4 illusory golden cores flew out from his consciousness and floated above his head. Illusory golden cores? And there are 4 of them. Looking at the illusory golden cores above Ningyu's head, Golden Tiger and the others were dumbfounded. In their minds, only a half-step Yuan Dan realm martial artist could turn chi whirlpools into illusory golden cores. As a late-stage true martial realm martial artist, how did Ningyu do it? Big brother, could his illusory golden cores be fake? Pai Hu frowned. Shaking his head, Golden Tiger said, They're not fake. Every illusory golden core is real. Furthermore, they contain violent yuan qi, much more than yours. Hearing this, Pai Hu's heart skipped a beat. He was an early primal core martial artist, and there was a lot of yuan qi in his golden core. If each of Ningyu's illusory golden cores contained more yuan qi than him, wouldn't that mean that the yuan qi in Ningyu's body had already reached the middle primal core stage, or even the late primal core stage? Don't worry. Just hold off Ningyu for a minute. After a minute, I will let him know why the flowers are so red. With a cold snort, Golden Tiger took a few steps back and said in a low voice, The mother ring is very special. The mother ring needs to be activated before it can attack. Give me another minute. Understood. Pai Hu and the others knew the severity of the situation. With 4 illusory golden cores, Ningyu might still have a trump card. Once Ningyu used his trump card, it was highly likely that they would fail miserably today. They had prepared for so long and endured for so long. If they failed at the last minute, Ningyu would not even need to kill them, for the first prince would not spare them. Therefore, even if they were to suffer serious injuries, they had to hold off Ningyu for a minute. You want to hold me off for a minute? Why don't you look in the mirror and see what you're made of? The corners of Ningyu's mouth curled up as he growled, Explode! Bang! 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 When Ningyu growled, Pai Hu, Tong Hu, and Tai Hu's expressions changed dramatically. What did you leave in our bodies? Pai Hu stared at Ningyu in disbelief. His eyes were filled with deep fear. Chapter 394. Broken Mother Ring. Actually, I didn't leave anything behind. Just a strand of soul force in your bodies. Ningyu shrugged and said, Since you want to kill me, then you should be prepared to be killed. Humph. It's not that easy to kill us. With a cold snort, Pai Hu and the others hurriedly sank their consciousness into their bodies, trying to control their yuan qi to expel Ning Yu's soul force. The ignorant are fearless. With the soul-breaking sword in hand, Ning Yu quickly rushed out and arrived in front of Pai Hu and the others in the blink of an eye. Swoosh! 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 Ning Yu slashed out 3 sword rays in a row. Under the horrified gazes of Pai Hu and the others, the sword rays ruthlessly stabbed into their chests. Boom! As soon as the sword rays stabbed into their chests, Pai Hu and the others exploded and disappeared from the world. At this moment, Pai Hu, Tai Hu, and Tong, who were killed on the spot. Golden Tiger, it's your turn. After killing Pai Hu and the others with a powerful attack, Ning Yu's figure flashed, and he directly flew toward Golden Tiger. If you want to attack my big brother, then you'll have to get through me first. However, not long after Ning Yu moved, Silver Tiger crazily rushed toward him. Noisy! Silver Tiger was already heavily injured. Now that he attacked Ning Yu, it was no different from throwing an egg at a rock. Ning Yu only used 50% of his strength to slash out a sword ray and kill Silver Tiger. Ning Yu, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces. In less than a minute, Silver Tiger and the others were killed by Ning Yu. This was something Golden Tiger never expected. He originally thought that Silver Tiger and the others could resist Ning Yu for a minute. Who would have thought that the reality was so cruel? Mother Ring, attack for me. After shouting, Golden Tiger jumped up from the ground and controlled the Mother Ring above his head to attack Ning Yu. Shoo! The Mother Ring's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Ning Yu. Then, in front of Ning Yu's surprised eyes, for Yuan Qi light pillars suddenly rushed out. These Yuan Qi light pillars did not immediately blast towards Ning Yu. Instead, they turned around and blasted towards the illusory golden core above Ning Yu's head. Come back! Feeling the violent fluctuation of Yuan Qi contained in the Yuan Qi light beam, Ning Yu's complexion changed dramatically, and he hurriedly controlled the golden core to return to his body. The power of each essence Qi light beam was comparable to the full blow of a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist. Although Ning Yu wasn't afraid of it, his golden core phantom was weak. If it was hit, it would definitely shatter. Out of the 4 illusory golden cores, the shattering of even one was a huge loss for Ning Yu. He could not afford it. Solitaire. Retracting the illusory golden core, Ning Yu waved the broken soul sword in his hand desperately, sending out multiple sword waves to meet the Yuan Qi light beams. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Although the power of a single sword wave was not as powerful as the Yuan Qi light beams, it was still difficult to block the 4 Yuan Qi light beams. 3 minutes later, the 4 Yuan Qi light beams completely dissipated. I want to see how many Yuan Qi light beams you can block. With a cold laugh, the Golden Tiger injected the Yuan Qi in his body into the Mother Ring and once again controlled the Mother Ring to send out multiple Yuan Qi light beams. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. This time, Ning Yu's heart sank to the bottom, because in front of him, there were dozens of Yuan Qi light pillars surging, bombarding him without any regard for their lives. Although the power of these Yuan Qi light beams had decreased significantly and were only equivalent to a peak primal core martial artist attack, there were still many of them. It was not difficult for Ning Yu to block 1 Yuan Qi light beam, but with so many of them, even if he were to advance to the early primal core stage, it would be difficult for him to block them. Damn it, if only the red demon sword was in my hands. Cursing under his breath, Ning Yu wrapped the Yuan Qi around his legs and quickly retreated. The broken soul sword was only an inferior grade, heaven-level flying sword, so its power was limited. Even if Ning Yu used solitaire with all his might, he would not be able to block the many Yuan Qi light beams in front of him. The red demon sword was different. It had reached the king level, perhaps even the peak of the king level. With the support of the red demon sword, the power of each solitaire was equivalent to a half-step yin-yang stage martial artist attack. Whoosh! However, just as Ningyu finished speaking, a cold light flew in from outside the Zhang house and landed in front of him in the blink of an eye. The red demon sword? Ningyu was a little stunned when he saw the true face of the cold light. Just as Ningyu was in a daze, the red demon's anxious voice rang in his mind. "What are you waiting for, Ningyu? Hurry up and use the red demon sword, or it will be too late." "Red demon, the situation on your side?" Ningyu asked with a frown. Before Ningyu could finish his sentence, the red demon said anxiously, "I'm fine. More than half of the evil blood guards have been taken care of. I have no use for the red demon sword. You can control it now." Hearing this, Ningyu gritted his teeth and hurriedly injected the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword. Then, he stabbed the sword in front of the golden tiger. The sixth form of the Supreme Nine Purities, sword technique, solitaire. This time, Ningyu did not hesitate to inject all the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness into the red demon sword. He even injected the azure spirit fire into it. Facing dozens of Yuan Qi light beams, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. If he was careless, the consequences would be unimaginable. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Every time Ningyu waved the red demon sword, a sword wave with traces of blue flames would appear. The sword wave would crazily attack the Yuan Qi light beams as soon as it appeared. Whoosh! One sword wave naturally could not withstand countless Yuan Qi light beams. The sword wave was quickly devoured by the Yuan Qi light beams and turned into cannon fodder. Sometimes cannon fodder could play a crucial role. When the first sword ripple was swallowed, a dozen or so sword ripples separated from the red demon sword and collided with the dozens of vital Qi light pillars. Boom! In midair, a total of 50 to 60 Yuan Qi light beams collided with the sword wave and exploded. Then, a sword wave emerged and swept toward the golden tiger. Oh no! The golden tiger did not expect Ningyu's sword wave to be so powerful after obtaining the red flying sword. Each sword wave was equivalent to a half-step yin-yang realm martial artist's full-force attack. Just 10 sword waves were enough to shatter the dozens of Yuan Qi light shields that came out of his mother ring. Moreover, they were still rushing towards him. Such a change truly shocked the golden tiger. Without much time to think, he quickly summoned the child ring back, hoping that it could devour the sword wave that Ningyu had slashed out. Humph. The Z-ring is a high Tian class devouring treasure. This sword ripple of yours can't do anything to what? Jean, who let out a cold snort. His prideful words had yet to finish when his expression changed drastically and his pupils shrank. This was because he realized that Ningyu's sword wave had directly passed through the child ring. In other words, the child ring's devouring power did not have any effect on the sword wave. Golden Tiger, I added the 280th flame on the mystic flame ranking to this sword wave, the azure spirit fire. It can easily deceive the child ring. Chapter 395. The First Prince's Threat, Indigo Spiritual Fire. The golden tiger's expression changed drastically, and his heart sank to the bottom. The child rings of the mother-child ring had a special characteristic, and that was that they had no effect on the mystical fire. In other words, as long as the mystical fire wrapped around the Yuan Qi and soul power, the child rings would not be able to devour them. Oh no! Just as Golden Tiger was in shock, Ningyu's solitary sword wave had already arrived in front of him. Under his horrified gaze, Ningyu ruthlessly slashed at his neck. Ah! At the critical moment, the Golden Tiger could not care less and quickly raised his right arm to block. A hysterical shriek resounded in the area. The Golden Tiger was pushed back several meters by the huge force, and his back came into contact with the wall. Swoosh! Ningyu did not stop after his successful attack. He flipped his wrist, and countless palm prints appeared before him. Underworld Dominator Palm. As Ningyu shouted, his body was like a cheetah as he lunged at the Golden Tiger. Looking at the approaching Ningyu, the golden tiger clenched his teeth and suddenly exerted strength in his legs, charging at Ningyu. Boom! For a moment, time seemed to have stopped. Then, the two figures separated and retreated. Bang! A moment later, the golden tiger hit the wall again. The huge force even caused him to be embedded in the wall. On the other hand, Ning Yu's body floated to the back. If one looked closely, one could see traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. It was obvious that Ning Yu's injuries were not light. Wiping the blood at the corner of his mouth, Ning Yu said in a deep voice, "Golden Tiger, are you under the first prince's orders?" "Ha ha ha, you want to get some information out of me? Forget it." The golden tiger laughed. It was obvious that he did not want to tell Ningyu about the first prince. "Forget it. I know even if you don't say it. The first prince must have sent you." Ningyu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with the golden tiger. Without the Red Fiend sword, the Red Fiend's battle prowess would drop by at least 50%, or even more. Although the Red Fiend had said it casually when he handed the Red Fiend's sword to him, Ningyu knew that the Red Fiend must not have felt good. The dozen or so fiendish blood guards and the many experts of the Zhang clan were not easy to deal with. Therefore, Ningyu didn't want to waste time with the golden tiger here. There was still a long way to go. Sooner or later, he would settle the score with the imperial family. "Golden Tiger, there are some people in this world that you cannot offend. Since you have offended them, you must pay the price." The moment the word price fell, Ningyu rose from the ground and turned into an afterimage, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! In the next instant, Ningyu appeared in front of the golden tiger and stabbed the red demon's sword at the golden tiger's heart. Puff! The sound of a flying sword piercing into flesh was so crisp. "You've offended the first prince. You won't have a good ending." The golden tiger pointed at Ningyu. Before he finished speaking, his eyes rolled and his breath dissipated. Ding ding! After the golden tiger was killed, the mother and child bracelets lost control in midair and fell to the ground with a crisp sound. Ningyu put away the red demon sword and picked up the mother and child bracelets. After obtaining the mother and child bracelets, Ningyu quickly sent a wisp of his soul power into the bracelets in an attempt to erase the soul imprint that the golden tiger had left behind. Humph! However, just as Ningyu's soul power entered the mother and child bracelets, a cold snort sounded from within the bracelets. "How dare you steal my Dharma treasure? You must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall." Hearing this voice, Ningyu was slightly stunned. He felt that the voice was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had heard it before. Suddenly, Ningyu's expression changed, and he said in a deep voice, "You are the first prince. You know that I am the first prince, yet you still dare to steal my mother and child bracelets? Are you tired of living?" The first prince's voice sounded again, and it was extremely overbearing. "I addressed you as the first prince, and you dare to act so arrogantly?" Ningyu said coldly, "You sent people to kill me. I will take revenge for this sooner or later. Just you wait in the capital. Don't let anything go wrong." Hee, the golden tiger and the other good-for-nothings really failed. But it doesn't matter. As long as you are stronger, it will be more interesting. The first prince smiled evilly. "Just you wait. The battle between us has just begun." "Oh no." As soon as the first prince finished speaking, Ningyu's expression changed drastically. He quickly withdrew his soul power from the mother and child bracelets and used all his strength to throw them into the air. Rumble! After the mother and child bracelets rose to a certain height, they suddenly exploded. How ruthless! Seeing the mother and child bracelets explode, Ningyu's lips twitched uncontrollably. The mother and child bracelets were heaven upper grade devouring Dharma treasures. How could the first prince give them up just like that? A well-fed man does not know the hunger of a starving man. Look, something exploded. It looks like a magic treasure, and it's a heaven-grade one. What? A heaven-grade magic treasure exploded? Who would waste such a precious treasure? That magic treasure came from the Zhang family's courtyard. If I'm not wrong, it's very likely to be Ningyu. Ningyu? That's not possible. Just now, the red-robed man's strength suddenly decreased, causing them to be at a disadvantage against the Zhang family. If it really is Ningyu, he must be. Ningyu? The last martial artist stopped abruptly halfway through his sentence. His eyes were fixed on a familiar figure that came out of the Zhang family, and his face was full of disbelief. It's Ningyu. Why is he out? Where are the other 5 Yuan Dan realm martial artists and the evil blood guards? I'm not sure, but Ningyu doesn't seem to be at his peak. It's as if his aura is a little weak. Yes, Ningyu's aura is indeed much weaker. When the crowd saw Ningyu come out of the Zhang family, they were all shocked. However, their focus was clearly on Ningyu's aura. Compared to when Ningyu had entered the Zhang family, his aura had dropped by at least 30%, or even more. The sudden drop in his aura made many martial artists curious. What was Ningyu doing in the Zhang family? Hong Mo here. Ignoring the crowd's discussion, Ningyu immediately threw the red devil's sword to Hong Mo and entered the battlefield with the soul-severing sword in hand. Ha ha ha, Ningyu, you're finally out. After receiving the red devil's sword, Hong Mo laughed loudly. As if he had been injected with new energy, his combat strength increased by several times. In the blink of an eye, Hong Mo killed 2 evil blood guards. Puff, puff, puff. On the other side, Ningyu was unstoppable. Every time he attacked, an evil blood guard would be killed. The evil blood guards were only early Yuan Dan realm martial artists. Even though Ningyu's strength had dropped significantly, the evil blood guards were still no match for him. Seeing the 5 evil blood guards killed in an instant, the faces of the Zhang family martial artists changed. Are we going to surrender or not? In that instant, the Zhang family only had 1 late Yuan Dan realm martial artist left. His mind raced as he considered whether to surrender or not. After the 5 evil blood guards were killed, there were still 3 evil blood guards and 10 Yuan Dan realm martial artists on his side. With just 3 evil blood guards and 10 Yuan Dan realm martial artists, they would definitely not be able to withstand the attack of Ningyu and the rest. Puff! 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 Chapter 396. Ferocious, Third Elder, quickly think of a way. If this continues, we are likely to be wiped out. The death of the last 3 evil blood guards caused the Zhang family experts to reveal a look of fear. They all placed their hopes on the late primal core stage 3rd elder. Zhang Bin was seriously injured, and it was unknown whether he could survive. Grand Elder Zhang Jian was also seriously injured and was equivalent to a cripple. As for 2nd Elder Zhang Hao, he still hasn't come out of the Zhang family, but from Ningyu's performance, it was very likely that Zhang Hao had died in battle. Having lost 3 pillars of support, the Zhang family experts could only place all their hopes on the 3rd elder. Damn it! Hearing the words coming from the surroundings, Zhang Maohai's face was gloomy. As the 3rd elder of the Zhang family, he should indeed stand up and save the Zhang family from this crisis. Zhang Maohai knew that it was Zhang Bin, Zhang Hao, and Zhang Jian who colluded with the Corpsine sect. It had nothing to do with the surrounding Zhang family experts. You guys, go and bring Zhang Bin and Zhang Jian here. Suddenly, Zhang Maohai clenched his teeth and coldly said, They colluded with the Corpsine sect, which is a heinous crime. Today, I, Zhang Maohai, will be a hero and enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Swish! Zhang Maohai's words caused the surroundings to fall into a brief silence. The onlookers all looked at Zhang Maohai with their mouths slightly open, their faces full of disbelief. Voila! After a brief silence, bursts of exclamations burst out from the surroundings. Is Zhang Maohai stupid? He wants to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Didn't you hear what he said? Zhang Bin and Zhang Jian colluded with the Corpse-Yin sect. The implication is that he didn't collude with the Corpse-Yin sect. He didn't collude with the Corpse-Yin sect? Who would believe that? That's right. As the third elder of the Zhang family, I will be the first to not believe that he didn't collude with the Corpse-Yin sect. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it, as long as Ningyu and the others believe it. Hearing this, everyone shifted their gaze to Ningyu, wanting to see how Ningyu would react. In fact, after hearing Zhang Maohai's words, Ningyu was also a little shocked. He felt that Zhang Maohai was acting. It was impossible for the Zhang family to only have 3 people colluding with the Corpse-Yin sect. Ningyu, do you want it? The red devil came to Ningyu's side and stretched out his palm to lightly draw a line across his neck. Not at the moment. Let's wait and see. Shaking his head, Ningyu also wanted to see what Zhang Maohai was up to. Humph! You don't even listen to me anymore. In the distance, Zhang Maohai coldly snorted when he saw that the people beside him did not react. He said, "Since all of you are not going to do anything, I will do it myself." With that, Zhang Maohai pushed through the crowd and came to Zhang Jian and Zhang Bin. "Zhang Maohai, what are you doing?" Compared to Zhang Bin, Zhang Jian's injury was slightly lighter. Seeing Zhang Maohai's ferocious look, he used all his strength to scold him. Zhang Bin's injuries were more serious. He could only watch as Zhang Maohai walked towards him, unable to speak. "What do I want to do? You ignored my advice and insisted on colluding with the Corpse-Yin sect. The Zhang family was almost dragged into the abyss of eternal damnation by you." Zhang Maohai gritted his teeth and said, "Today, I will do justice on behalf of heaven and get rid of you 2 scum." With that, Zhang Maohai waved his sleeve and a silver-white flying sword appeared in his hand. Swish! Swish! Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Zhang Maohai waved the silver-white flying sword and sent out 2 sword rays. Puff! Puff! The speed of the sword rays was very fast. In the blink of an eye, they were on the necks of Zhang, Jian, and Zhang Bin. Zhang Maohai. It was not until they died that Zhang Jian and Zhang Bin realized that in front of a strong desire to live, some people could do anything. Buzz! Zhang Maohai's sudden attack was completely unexpected. Even Ningyu was a little surprised. The 2 experts of the Zhang family, Zhang Bin of the early yin-yang stage and Zhang Jian of the peak primal core stage, were killed just like that. It's far more than that. If I'm not wrong, Zhang Hao must also be dead, and he died in the hands of Ningyu. Zhang Maohai is really bold. I originally thought he was just saying it, but I didn't expect him to really do it. Bold? He is shirking responsibility. If he didn't do this, Ningyu would be the first to kill him. Since he did this, Ningyu won't let him go, right? After all, such a ruthless person will sooner or later be a scourge. Let's wait and see. After killing Zhang Jian and Zhang Bin, Zhang Maohai put away the silver-white flying sword and walked toward Ningyu step by step. After a moment, Zhang Maohai arrived in front of Ningyu and stood still. "Ningyu, the 2 people who colluded with the Corpse sect have been killed by me. I hope you can let the rest of the Zhang family go." Zhang Maohai said in a deep voice, "You want me to let them go? How can you prove that they didn't collude with the Corpse sect?" Ningyu cupped his fists and stared at Zhang Maohai with interest. "Come with me, I'll take you to a place." Zhang Maohai said, "There, you will know whether they colluded with the Corpse sect or not." With that, Zhang Maohai took the lead and walked toward the Zhang family. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu winked at Hong Mo and immediately followed Zhang Maohai into the Zhang family. What are they going to do? I don't know. Is Zhang Maohai going to make a move on Ningyu? How is that possible? Zhang Maohai is only a late primal core stage warrior. He is no match for Ningyu. Acting so mysterious, what can't be said here? Ning, you didn't know the discussion of these warriors. After entering the Zhang family, Zhang Maohai led him around and finally stopped in front of a heavy stone door. Ningyu, this is the 2nd forbidden area of the Zhang family. Insert the key you got from Zhang Bin and open the stone door. Zhang Maohai pointed to a keyhole on the stone door and said, "The second forbidden area?" Ningyu was stunned and somewhat puzzled. How could there be a second forbidden area in the Zhang family? What was in this forbidden area? Then again, he didn't even enter the first forbidden area. At that time, Zhang Hao took him to the forbidden area to find Su Jinfu, but who would have thought that they would meet Su Jinfu halfway, causing him to not enter the first forbidden area? Perhaps seeing Ningyu's doubts, Zhang Maohai explained, "The first forbidden area is rich in yuan qi, and it is Zhang Bin's private forbidden area. No one can enter without his permission. This forbidden area is different." Then, Zhang Maohai pointed to the forbidden area in front of him and said, "To be precise, it is the Zhang family's treasure house. All the treasures of the Zhang family are hidden inside." In the beginning, this forbidden area was open to all warriors above the primal core stage, but after he colluded with the warriors of the corpse sect, he changed the stone door. Now, only his key can open this forbidden area. If you still don't believe me, I can make a heavenly oath. Seeing that Ningyu still didn't believe him, Zhang Maohai forced out a drop of blood and threw it above his head. Chi-chi. Chapter 397. Chapter 397. Zhang Clan's Treasury. Fine, I'll open the stone door and see what you're up to. The heavenly oath had a strong binding force on a cultivator. Since Zhang Maohai had made the heavenly oath, what he said should not be far from the truth. Taking a step back, Ningyu took out the key he got from Zhang Bin and threw it at the stone door. Kacha! As soon as the key was inserted into the keyhole, the stone door made a clicking sound. Creak! Following that, a deep sound rang out and the stone door slowly opened. Whoosh! After the stone door opened, Ningyu felt a thick, cold air hit him in the face. The last time I came to this forbidden area was a month ago. Standing in front of the stone door, Zhang Maohai closed his eyes and sighed. Stop wasting time and go in quickly. Ningyu kicked Zhang Maohai's butt and said in a deep voice, "I don't have much time to waste with you here." "I'll go in now." Urged by Ningyu, Zhang Maohai quickly opened his eyes and walked in. Ningyu followed behind Zhang Maohai with high concentration, not daring to slack off in the slightest. From the outside, this forbidden area was just a narrow room, but after entering, it suddenly opened up. I didn't expect it to be so big inside, and it's divided into 2 floors. Ningyu split a part of his perception to pay close attention to Zhang Maohai's movements. Then his eyes moved around the room. On the first floor of the room, there was a row of shelves on both sides, and there were many treasures on the shelves. However, the grades of these treasures were not too high. The highest grade was only Earth rank inferior grade. Earth rank inferior grade treasures were no longer of any use to Ningyu. Even if he sold them, he would not be able to get many crystals. Thump, thump, thump. Just as Ningyu was looking around, Zhang Maohai went straight to the second floor. Ningyu retracted his gaze and followed. As they got closer to the second floor, Ningyu's brows furrowed more and more. In the end, even his expression became very solemn. Corpse in Chi. This was because Ningyu's keen sense of smell detected a familiar scent. This scent came from the yin energy of corpses. That's right, it's the corpse in Chi. Zhang Maohai stopped at the entrance to the second floor. He pointed at the dark green barrier in front of him and said, "This entrance has been sealed by the corpse in sect." "What are you trying to say?" Ningyu frowned. "Now that things have come to this, I have nothing to hide. I'll tell you everything," Zhang Maohai said slowly. "A month ago, Zhang Bin called all the Zhang family's Yuan dance stage martial artists here and gave each of them a medicinal pill. Zhang Bin lied to them, saying that the pill could raise their cultivation by a level. Out of trust in Zhang Bin, they swallowed the pill without hesitation. Who would have thought that the pill was obtained by Zhang Bin from the Corpsine sect? It was the heart-devouring pill. Heart-devouring pill. Hearing this, Ning Yu's heart trembled, and he revealed a look of disbelief. The heart-devouring pill was an extremely vicious medicinal pill. After taking it, every 7 days the whole body would be in pain, especially the heart, which was unbearable. If one wanted to relieve the pain, they would need to take a medicinal pill. Otherwise, people with weak willpower would not be able to endure the pain. Lu Wei also swallowed the heart-devouring pill. There were only 3 days left until the first time the heart-devouring pill would take effect. Every 7 days, Zhangbin will give us a medicinal pill. There are still 3 days before the next time the heart-devouring pill takes effect. Zhang Maohai continued. The pain when the heart-devouring pill takes effect becomes more and more intense. If there is no medicinal pill this time, many people will not be able to endure it. You mean you want me to break this yin qi barrier and take out the medicinal pill for you? Ning Yu asked hesitantly. The medicinal pill can be left with you as long as you give us one every 7 days. Hearing that there was hope, Zhang Maohai quickly said, In the future, we will submit to you. If you ask us to go east, we will never go west. You step back. I will try to see if I can break this yin qi barrier. Ning Yu waved his hand and signaled Zhang Maohai to step back. After knowing that there was an antidote for the heart-devouring pill inside, Ning Yu's mind became active. Lu Wei was also affected by the heart-devouring pill. Although she could rely on the medicinal pill to relieve the pain, it was not a long-term solution. After 49 days, the effect of the medicinal pill would be reduced by half. At that time, Lu Wei would not be able to endure the pain. Therefore, Ning Yu planned to break the yin qi barrier and see if he could find the antidote for the heart-devouring pill inside. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Zhang Maohai hurriedly took a few steps back. After thinking about it, he was still a little worried and retreated to the first floor. Solitaire. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu took out the broken soul sword and slashed out a sword wave. Chi-chi. However, when the sword wave came into contact with the yin qi barrier, a chi-chi sound exploded and disappeared. This yin qi barrier has the ability to devour? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and felt that it was a little unbelievable. This was the first time he saw that the yin qi could be devoured. Revolving palm. Since Solitaire could not break the yin qi barrier, Ning Yu kept the broken soul sword and threw out a palm. Chi. The result was no surprise. The palm print that he threw out was devoured by the yin qi barrier again. After 2 consecutive failures, Ning Yu fell into deep thought. All right. Suddenly, Ning Yu seemed to have thought of something, and his face lit up. In the next moment, he moved his mind and took out the dead soul's vortex that he obtained from Su Jinfu. Go! Ning Yu shouted in a low voice, and the dead spirit vortex rushed towards the corpse yin qi barrier. Although the yin qi barrier had the ability to devour, the dead soul's vortex was specialized in restraining yin qi. As long as yin qi came into contact with it, it would be absorbed. Whoosh! As Ning Yu had expected, when the yin qi barrier saw the dead soul's vortex, it was like a son seeing his father. Not long after, the yin qi barrier was completely absorbed by the dead soul's vortex. Come back! Seeing that the yin qi barrier was broken, Ning Yu waved his palm and summoned the dead soul's vortex to his side. Ning Yu revealed an excited expression as he sensed the majestic corpse yin qi in the death soul vortex. With so much yin qi, after the dead soul's vortex transformed, it could at least be turned into a powerful dead soul qi. However, Ning Yu's control over the dead soul's vortex had not reached its peak yet. Therefore, he could not transform the yin qi into dead soul qi immediately. Keep the dead soul's vortex first, and let it transform slowly. After keeping the dead soul's vortex, Ning Yu entered the second floor first. When Zhang Maohai, who was on the first floor, saw this, he hurriedly leaped up and charged into the second floor. Low-grade heaven, rank flying sword. Low-grade heaven, rank spatial ring. High grade, earth, rank, martial skill. Earth rank. He'd only just entered the second floor when Ningyu was shocked speechless by everything before his eyes. There were truly too many treasures here. Magic treasures, medicinal pills, martial skills, mental cultivation techniques. Everything that one could wish for was here. Chapter 398. Boom! Show! Just when Ningyu was shocked by the many magic treasures and pills, Zhang Maohai raised his speed to the limit and rushed past him. Gotcha! Zhang Maohai stopped in front of a counter, raised his right hand and smashed it down. A crisp sound rang out as the counter in front of Zhang Maohai was smashed into pieces. After the counter was smashed, Zhang Maohai quickly picked up a jade bottle that fell to the ground with a happy expression. Looking at the jade bottle in Zhang Maohai's hand, Ningyu frowned and asked, "The antidote for the heart-devouring pill?" Hearing Ningyu's words, the joy on Zhang Maohai's face instantly disappeared and was replaced with a serious expression. Clenching his teeth, Zhang Maohai handed the jade bottle in his hand to Ningyu and said, "This is not the antidote for the heart-devouring pill. It is just a pill to relieve our pain. As for the antidote for the heart-devouring pill, it is said to be in the hands of the Incorp sect." After taking the jade bottle, Ningyu separated a bit of his soul force to check it. After a while, Ningyu threw the jade bottle to Zhang Maohai. Are you sure you want to give them to me?" Zhang Maohai's face was full of disbelief. In his opinion, if Ningyu had the jade bottle, he would have something to rely on to restrain them. If they wanted to live, they had to listen to Ningyu's orders. "It's just a few pills. Even if I give them to you, you won't be able to completely remove the heart-devouring pill from your body." Shrugging, Ningyu said, "The heart-devouring pill is very overbearing. Unless you find the real antidote, you won't be able to last long." With that, Ningyu ignored Zhang Maohai and began to wander around. There were a lot of magic treasures and pills here. You did not refuse any of them. He put them all into his storage bag and planned to send them to the auction house. Seeing Ningyu looting the magic treasures like a tornado, Zhang Maohai's mouth couldn't help but twitch a few times. After the trouble caused by Ningyu, the Zhang family in Ivory City would need at least a few decades to make a comeback. Suddenly, Ningyu stopped at the corner of a shelf. Branches. Picking up a small branch from the shelf, Ningyu wondered. It doesn't make sense for the Zhang family's treasury to keep a branch. Following this, Ningyu released a wisp of his soul power, wanting to enter the tree branch. However, no matter how hard he tried, his soul power could only linger on the surface of the branch and could not enter. Ding! Seeing that, Ningyu took out the broken soul sword and slashed at the tree branch. A crisp sound rang out as the absolute soul sword bounced back. The numbness that came from the web between his thumb and forefinger caused Ningyu's heart to tremble, and he was shocked in his heart. This branch is definitely not an ordinary item. After thinking about it, Ningyu placed the branch at his heart. Such a hard branch might be able to save his life in the future. Apart from this small branch that was special, the other magic treasures and elixirs were also ordinary and did not attract Ningyu's interest. So he put them all into his storage bag. After looting all the magic treasures and elixirs here, Ningyu said to Zhang Maohai, "I'll believe you this once and keep your life for now. If I find out that you dare to collude with the corpse sect again, you won't be so lucky." With that said, Ningyu walked towards the first floor. Seeing Ningyu's back, Zhang Maohai was a little stunned. Very quickly, he reacted and appeared in front of Ningyu in a flash. He hurriedly said, "Ningyu, you can't leave us in the lurch. I and the 10 Yuan Dan realm martial artists of the Zhang family have all swallowed the heart-devouring pill. Without the antidote, we won't live long." Ningyu stopped and said indifferently, "What does it have to do with me that you won't live long?" Ningyu was not a saint. The life and death of Zhang Maohai and the others had nothing to do with him. Besides, even if he wanted to help Zhang Maohai and the others, he needed to refine the antidote for the heart-devouring pill. The heart-devouring pill was a 7th-grade elixir, so the antidote was naturally also a 7th-grade elixir. With his current peak 5th-grade soul force, it was almost impossible for him to refine the antidote for the heart-devouring pill. Hearing this, Zhang Maohai was also a little embarrassed. The Zhang family colluded with the corpse insect. Although it wasn't his fault, it was his fault that he didn't report it to the royal family. Ningyu, I can make another heavenly oath. As long as you can give me the antidote for 11 heart-devouring pills, the Zhang family of Ivory City will follow your lead from now on. Zhang Maohai seemed to have made a big decision. He gritted his teeth and said, although the Zhang family of Ivory City has suffered heavy losses, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. From now on, we can be your backup and provide you with a steady stream of cultivation resources. That's a good choice. Ningyu frowned and said, the antidote for the heart-devouring pill is a 7th-grade elixir. I can't guarantee that I can get it, but I promise you that as long as I can get it, the extra elixirs will be left for you. Although Ningyu couldn't refine the antidote himself, Sun Jiangwen was a 7th-grade elixir master. He could definitely refine the antidote. Anyway, Ningyu would ask Sun Jiangwen to refine the antidote sooner or later, so he might as well promise Zhang Maohai first. After all, having another family as backup could save him a lot of trouble. Thank you. Fearing that Ningyu would go back on his word, Zhang Maohai immediately forced out a drop of blood and made another heavenly oath. The elixirs in the jade bottle can last you for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, you can go to the capital to find me. After glancing at Zhang Maohai, Ningyu rose from the ground and quickly flew out. After Ningyu left, Zhang Maohai breathed a sigh of relief and thought that it was a close call. If he hadn't been quick-witted and brought Ningyu here, then his life would definitely be in danger. Now, not only did he get Ningyu's forgiveness, but he also had a chance to get the antidote for the heart-devouring pill. It was really the best of both worlds. It was just that he didn't know how hopeful Ningyu was to get the antidote for the heart-devouring pill. So Zhang Maohai made up his mind to leave for the capital after a week, at the same time, in front of the Zhang family's house. Ningyu and Zhang Maohai have been gone for so long. Why haven't they come back yet? Could it be that Zhang Maohai has a trump card that he didn't show and trapped Ningyu in the Zhang family? It's possible. After all, Zhang Maohai is the 3rd elder of the Zhang family. It's Ningyu. While everyone was talking, a figure rushed out of the Zhang family's courtyard and landed in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. This figure was none other than Ningyu, who entered the Zhang family with Zhang Maohai. Ningyu is out. Where's Zhang Maohai? Is there a need to ask? Zhang Maohai must have been killed by Ningyu. It can't be. If Ningyu wanted to kill Zhang Maohai, he would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? Swoosh! In the next moment, Zhang Maohai also rushed out of the Zhang family, dispelling everyone's doubts. However, Zhang Maohai's performance made everyone a little confused. Because Zhang Maohai stood respectfully behind Ningyu, that expression was like Ningyu's attendant. Ho Qingqin, how's the evacuation of Yang Kun's people? Ignoring the strange looks of the surrounding martial artists, Ningyu asked Ho Qingqin. Ho Qingqin didn't dare to be negligent and said, when you entered the Zhang family, Yang Kun sent a message saying that all the residents around the ivory tower have been evacuated, even if Rumble. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.